Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto become a new golden fox. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Naruto's POV, Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, one of the strongest villages of the 5 shinobi villages. It has been my home for 12 long years. To others, 12 years may not be a long time, however. Only a few people have shouldered the burden that I had to shoulder throughout my life. I, Uzumaki Naruto, was chosen to carry the Kyuubi that attacked the village 12 years prior. I often wonder why I was chosen out of so many kids. Was there no other child that the Yondaime could have placed this curse on? Why me? This is probably the only question that I want answered. It seems that we tend not to get what we want. A couple of months back, the only question that I wanted an answer to was, why was I hated by the adults so much? After Mizuki had informed me that I was the jailer of the strongest of the yokai, it all became clear. The stares, the remarks, were all because of what they thought I was. It seems that the kids in my age group followed their parents' lead by treating me like I was nothing. The pranks, the loud and brash attitude that I displayed was a cry for attention. All I ever wanted was for people to acknowledge my existence. I think that's why Old Man Sandaime never punished me for my many transgressions. He was the only one who knew why I committed those pranks. Being alone is hell, a hell that I do not wish upon anyone. I used to sit on the swing and watch the other kids with their parents and it would pain me. I wish that I could experience what they had at least once in my life. Well, I guess you could say that Iruka sensei is like the father I never had. He gives advice and he treats me like I'm somebody. He was even willing to sacrifice his life to save mine. That's the sort of thing a loving father would do. The closest thing that I had to a mother is a 50-year-old who doesn't look a day over 30. Tsunade Obaa-chan cares for me deeply. When we first met, I wanted to punch her lights out for disrespecting the old man's sacrifice by saying the position of Hokage was shit. We fought, but she was clearly my better. She seemed as though she could care less about what happened to anyone. However, Jiraiya told me when we got to the village how she had protected me from Orochimaru. He told me that she had taken a sword to the heart. He also informed me that she told Orochimaru that I was going to be Hokage someday. She believed in me enough to protect me from harm. That is something that a mother would do. I'm glad that there are at least 2 people that care for me. I thought that Team 7 would become the family that always I wanted. That, however, was not meant to be. Kakashi-sensei, who wasn't really a sensei, well, not to me at least, never showed any interest in me. When I won against Kiba in the tournament, he didn't even congratulate me on my victory. I guess that was reserved for his favorite student. I asked him to train me, but he made up an excuse about how bad my chakra control was. That was the whole reason I asked him to help me, but whatever. I guess training Sasuke was a higher priority. Sakura is no different. It is always Sasuke this and Sasuke that. Even when I saved her from Gaara, she had assumed it was Sasuke. He told her that it was me, but did I get a thank you? Nope, I got nothing. The event that showed that I would never have her was when I dragged Tsunade to heal Sasuke. I saw her at his bedside. To me it looked like she hadn't left since he was placed there. When Obaa-chan healed him and he woke up, she hugged him as if he was the most precious thing ever. It pained me to see that Sasuke had beat me again. This time he did it without even trying. I never understood Sasuke. Here is a guy who is loved by all throughout the village, yet he chooses to be lonely. He was born with the most feared bloodline limit, he is extremely gifted, and has every girl in the village after him. He also had Kakashi train him personally. He had everything and he threw it all away for vengeance. He even shoved a Chidori into my chest. I always saw him as a friend, a rival, a brother. Now all I see is a guy who took the easy way out to obtain power. I promised Sakura that I would bring him back, but I failed to do so. I really did try for her sake. During those 4 days that I spent recovering in the hospital, I had expected Sakura to visit, but she never did. I will never forget the day that I was released. I would be forever changed by it. Flashback. The villagers' stares were even colder than before. I even heard some comments that suggested that I was responsible for Sasuke's betrayal of the Konoha. I ignored it and continued home. I was glad to see Sakura about a block ahead of me. She was with that crazy blonde girl Ino. I ran up to them to greet them. As I called out her name, she didn't even acknowledge me. When I stopped her, she had a look in her eyes that indicated that she was mad at me. I just smiled. "Hey, Sakura-chan." She responded, "What do you want, Naruto?" I looked down because of the guilt of not fulfilling my promise. "Sakura-chan, I'm sorry that I couldn't bring Sasuke back." Her response was something that I had not expected. Sorry that you couldn't keep your promise?" "No, Naruto, I'm sorry for believing that a dead last like you would bring back Sasuke-kun." "Sakura-chan, I really tried but, tried." "Yeah right, you didn't try. Why would you try to save Sasuke? You knew I liked him and I bet you thought that if he was out of the picture then I would say yes to a date." "Sakura-chan, that's not true. I really tried to bring him back." "Enough, Naruto. Get this through your head, I have never liked you and never will." Ino spoke in a defending tone. "Sakura, I understand that you have feelings for Sasuke but that's going too far. Not even Naruto deserves that." Sakura glared at Ino. "Ino, this has nothing to do with you so mind your own business." Ino glared at the pink-haired Kunoichi. Naruto spoke once more. "Sakura-chan, no matter what I did or said, Sasuke didn't want to come back. But don't worry, I will bring him back for you. Save your promises for someone else. The only thing that I want you to do for me is to never speak to me again. I wish that it was you who left and not Sasuke." Sakura ran off. Naruto stood there feeling as though someone had told him his dog died. He felt pain in his heart. The girl he would have done anything for to protect had broken his heart. Ino looked at Sakura, who was running off into the distance, then back at Naruto. She even felt sorry for what had happened. He looked really hurt by Sakura's words, she thought. Ino spoke, "You know Naruto, I think she's just upset." "No, she doesn't deserve any excuses, Ino. I thought she was my friend, I guess I was wrong. I have to go home. I guess I'll see you later, bye." End of flashback. I thought that it couldn't get any worse than that but I would be proven wrong once again. A week later I was called before the council. The council had declared that it was my fault for the injuries that my comrades had sustained. I was also blamed for not returning Sasuke back to the village. I tried to plead my case but it fell on deaf ears. The worst I thought was going to happen was a 6-month suspension of my ninja license, but they did something that I'd never expect. I was banished from Konoha. My dream of being Hokage died that day. Jiraiya tried to plead that I had helped fend off Gaara during the Sound Sand invasion, but it fell on deaf ears once again. Oba-chan didn't have the power to go against the council and was unable to save me from this fate. The day that I was scheduled to leave, I went to Oba-chan's office. Since I wasn't going to be the Hokage, I felt that there was no reason to keep the necklace. I gave it back to her and left. I had also asked her to give Iruka back the head bee Jiraiya had offered to train me for the next 3 years, but I told him that he didn't need to. He insisted but I declined and told him not to worry and that I would be okay. He respected my decision, but he decided to give me some scrolls with some techniques. He told me that he was leaving the village and wasn't stepping foot into it again. Ero Sennin told me where to find him whenever I wanted to learn some S-class jutsus. I left 2 days after that meeting. I could see the villagers look at me with smirks on their faces. It was fine. I was giving them what they had wanted for so long, my departure. Konoha was no longer my home. It was time for me to find a new home. I made a vow that I would become the greatest ninja ever. It's been 6 years since I was banished. During that time I met and trained with ninjas from other villages as well as samurais. When I left, I headed to Wave Country to see Tazuna and his family. I only stayed 3 months before I went to Water Country. I ran into a missing nin by the name of Saichi Kato. He was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. I followed him around for the next 2 years, learning all that I could from him. During this time we did missions together and became like brothers. After 2 years passed, I had decided it was time to part ways. I was still on a quest for strength so I needed to continue on my path. My departure from Kato-sensei led me to Sea Country, where I met a samurai clan known as the Minashu clan. I had thought I had already learned all I needed about Kenjutsu but I was wrong. The samurai took me in and trained me under the heavenly sword. Since I knew how to wield a sword, it only took me a year to master the style. By the time I had finished mastering the style, I considered myself one of the top 10 ninjas in the world. I know that sounds cocky but I believed it to be true. The next year was spent with Jiraiya, perfecting my taijutsu and ninjutsu and taking on missions after a year of training with the Minashu. I also learned some genjutsu from the scrolls, and from Jiraiya as well. My skills had improved greatly during that time. No longer was I the dead last or the idiot. I am known throughout the ninja world as the Golden Fox. I guess I got that name due to my yellow hair and whisker marks. During this time, Konoha had defeated the Sound Village, killing Orochimaru in the process. The Akatsuki was dealt with a couple of months later. I like to say I had a big part in that. After all, I did kill 3 members. I softened them up for Konoha and Suna. Sasuke finally got his revenge and killed his brother. I heard that the village accepted him back after his betrayal. My sources have informed me that all he got was a year of probation. He is now currently a Junin and an Anbu squad captain. 2 years after the fall of the Sound and Akatsuki, Cloud declared war on the Leaf for unknown reasons. The war doesn't concern me. I live in Sun Country now with my fiancée and her mother. I met Yumi when I was 17. I remember the day we met. I saved her from some thugs who tried to rob her and possibly force themselves on her. When I looked at her, I was mesmerized by her long brown hair, her green eyes and her shapely body. After I saved her life, she insisted that I have dinner with her and her mother, so I did. Her mother, Mai, who looked like an older version of Yumi, accepted me with open arms. From that day Yumi and I were always together. Peaceful as things were, I knew it wouldn't last for long. It never does. Outside of the greenhouse made of wood, with a farm in the back, sitting in a chair on the porch, with Yumi cuddled up to me, I noticed the presence of 5 people. Judging by the way they moved, it had to be ninja. I didn't alert Yumi to their presence. I didn't want her to get scared. Within a matter of seconds, 5 shurikens flew at me and Yumi. I used the Kawarimi no Jutsu. I was behind the ninja holding a kunai at the throat, but I found that I couldn't move. It was the cage main. There was only one person I knew who could do this technique. Shikamaru. You can let me go now. I wasn't going to hurt your friend here. Also tell Shino, Neji, and Tenten that they can come out now. Soon enough, Neji, Shino, Tenten and Shikamaru came into view. They lifted up their masks so I could see their faces. Shikamaru released the cage main. I decided to speak to the ninja I was behind. You can remove your mask as well, Ino. She complied. Yumi and her mother came from the house to see if I was okay. Shikamaru spoke. Tsunade-sama had asked us to track you down. I told her how troublesome it would be, but she had insisted that we find you. Neji stepped forth to speak. Naruto, Tsunade-sama has requested that you return back with us to Konoha. I looked at Neji and laughed. She requested that I come back. Tell her I am no longer a shinobi of the Leaf and I am not obligated to do as she says. Ino decided to speak. Naruto, she asked us to bring you back. Please come back with us. Tell me, Ino, what could she want from me? She didn't want anything the past 6 years. Why now all of a sudden? Shino spoke in his usual tone. Uzumaki Naruto, Godem-sama wishes for you to assist us in this war with the Cloud. I walked past the ninjas from Konoha and headed to the doorway towards my fiancée, who was looking worried. I stopped and spoke. Instead of trying to get me to fight Konoha's battles, you should be preparing for attacks from Cloudnin. Tell Oba-chan that I said good luck defeating the Cloud. Naruto, how could you turn your back on your home? It's your duty to protect the Konoha, Tenten said desperately. It's not my home, it never was. That place was hell to me. I was hated by every villager in that village. I was also banished by the council. So tell me, Tenten, would you consider a place that exiled you a home? There was complete silence. I thought so. Tell Oba-chan that the only way I will fight for Konoha is if she's willing to pay for my services. My going rate isn't cheap though. Tell her I want 70 million Ryu for my services and an additional 20 million bonus. Take that offer to her and come back to let me know her decision. That's an outrageous figure, Naruto, Ino stated. Well, I told you I don't come cheap. I'm sure the Cloud will have no problem paying the bill. Shikamaru sighed. If that's all you request, then pack your things, Naruto. We want to get back to Konoha ASAP. Ino spoke. Shikamaru, you can't be serious? That is too much money for? Neji interrupted. Well, Tsunade-sama did say no matter what it took. Do you actually think that's what she meant, Neji? Asked Tenten incredulously. Our mission states that we bring Uzumaki Naruto back with us to Konoha. After that, it is no longer our responsibility, Shino stated. Shikamaru looked at Naruto. So are you coming or what? Naruto fixed his gaze on Shikamaru, on one more condition. What is it now that you demand? Ino spat out. Naruto turned to the door, where his fiancé and his mother-in-law-to-be were standing. They come with me. When word gets out that I'm fighting on Konoha's side, the Cloud will send nins to use them as bait against me. At least in the Leaf, I know that they will be safe. Shikamaru thought to himself, what a troublesome guy. After closing his eyes, then reopening them, he spoke, fine. As long as you're coming I could care less about who you bring with you. Naruto gave the group a large grin, then it's settled. We depart in 2 hours. He walked towards Yumi. She had a sad look in her eyes. Truth be told, Yumi didn't want Naruto to be a ninja anymore for fear of losing him. Even so, she knew he was a ninja through and through and she respected it. He placed his hand gently on her face, pulling it up so his eyes could meet hers. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to me, that I can promise. Come on, we have to pack our stuff so we can get out of here. With that said, they broke free from each other's embrace and headed into the house. Yumi's mother invited the other ninjas into the house. After 2 hours had passed, everyone was. Naruto was dressed in a black, short-sleeved shirt with black sweatpants to match. He wore bandages around his shin the way Kakashi did. He also had on black ninja sandals. His sword was placed on his back. The sword was eloquent. One couldn't see the blade, but judging by the black and gold handle, and the black case with a golden fox carved on it, it was safe to say that the sword could cut through almost anything. He got the sword from Minashu Ryuho, the head of the samurai clan who had taught him personally. Yumi was wearing a brown long-sleeved shirt and beige pants. Her sandals matched the color of her shirt. Mai had on a long blue long-sleeved shirt, black pants, and black sandals much like Naruto's. Naruto put Yumi on his back, while Neji carried Yumi's mother. The other three carried the small book bags that the 3 residents of Sun Country had packed. In a matter of seconds, they took to the trees. It would take an hour to reach the docks, where a ship was waiting to escort them to Konoha, where it would take about 2 hours to arrive there. 3 hours later in Konoha, in the Hokage Tower, behind the desk of the Hokage office sat a 56-year-old blonde woman, who could pass for 20, doing paperwork. With a war going on and missions to complete, she was exhausted. She was trying to find ways to end this war. She tried presenting a treaty to Raikage, but the young prick didn't want a treaty. For the last 8 months the war went on with no side gaining an upper ground. She honestly didn't know what the war was for, but she believed that the young Raikage just wanted to prove his country was stronger than the Leaf. She felt that there were better ways to go about doing this, but it was his village after all. She ran hers and that was all that mattered. Sitting with her right arm holding up her head, Tsunade looked at the door when her assistant came in. Tsunade-sama, Shikamaru's team has returned with Naruto. They're in the waiting room, Shizune stated. Shizune, send them in. Shikamaru and the rest of his team entered with Naruto and 2 people she didn't recognize. When she saw Naruto, she was trying to hold back her tears. She kept them from falling and she began to speak. Naruto, I'm glad that you could make it. I thought that you were going to turn down my request, she said, with happiness in her voice. I did turn down your request. The only reason I'm here is because you're paying for my services, he responded. One of her eyebrows slightly elevated. Paying for your services? So you're not doing this to help the Leaf? She questioned. Naruto gave her a smirk. Tsunade, do you really think that I would fight for this village after what they did to me? No, I'm not here to protect your village. I'm here because of the 90 million Ryu I'm being paid for my services. She felt a pain in her heart when he said her name instead of Oba-chan. She knew then that their relationship had changed. She blamed herself for that. She got mad at the fact that he was fighting only for money. She responded in angry tone, so, you only fight for money now? Whatever happened to the kid that fought to protect his precious people? Did you forget about that or what? He smiled at her then placed his arms around Yumi. I do fight for my precious people. That never has and never will change. However, there is no one here in Konoha that is precious to me, so there is no reason whatsoever to fight for anyone here. If you're not willing to pay for my services, then I will leave and return to my life. So what's it going to be? Tsunade sighed. Very well then, before we can pay for your services, you must be brought before the council so they can approve of it. Neji, would you escort Naruto's guest to the hotel? Naruto, follow me. Naruto kissed his girl. I'll see you as soon as I'm done, okay? Yumi nodded her head in agreement. Exiting the office, Mai and Yumi followed behind Neji while Naruto and Tsunade headed to the council room. Tsunade started a conversation with the man who was an inch or two shorter than Jiraiya. So, tell me Naruto, who are those two back there? My fiancé and her mother. Judging by the tone in his voice, she could clearly see that he didn't really want to talk. She still decided to get some answers about the girl and what he did during the last 6 years. She knew he was strong. Just mentioning his name in the rock, rain, mist, and grass caused panic. The man who stood walking next to her was arguably the most feared ninja in the world. She spoke once more. Naruto. How did you guys meet? Naruto, who never even looked at her. I'm touched that you want to know about my life, but I really don't feel the need to tell you. She hadn't expected Naruto to be this cold. She knew that there was a chance that he would despise her and this village for what transpired 6 years ago, but she was hoping he didn't. Deep inside, she was hoping that he would be happy to return, but she knew that it would only be in her fantasy. After a minute of walking, they finally reached the council room in the Hokage Tower. Inside the big room was a long square table that sat 14. The room was like a cave in the sense that the light only illuminated it enough for one to see everything in their surroundings. On the walls were pictures. Naruto recognized that some were the Hokages of the past. Tsunade motioned for him to sit. She walked to the other end of the room and took her seat, which faced Naruto's. There were 12 other members seated. The order was as followed. On Naruto's left, Yamanaka Inochi was seated at the first seat, Nara Shikaku was seated at the second seat, Akamichi Chozuha the third seat, Aburame Shibi was seated in the fourth seat, and Jin Wei was seated in the fifth seat. On Naruto's right, Inuzuka Sume was seated in the first seat, Hyuga Hiyashi was seated in the second seat, Hoido Tasuki was seated in the third seat, Kirai Koi was seated in the fourth seat, and Kataki Waga was seated in the fifth seat. At the head of the council table, Mitokado Homura sat on Tsunade's right while Utatane Kaharu sat on her left. Tsunade was the first to speak. Naruto, do you know why we had asked you to return to Konoha? Naruto folded his arms and looked away. I'm here because the shinobi of the leaf are weak and you need me to save their asses. Everyone in the room with the exception of Tsunade narrowed their eyes at Naruto. She just let out a sigh at his comment. Kaharu spoke next. Uzumaki Naruto. You will show respect while you are in the presence of the council. It's true that your assistance is needed, but you will show some respect. Naruto looked at the old woman and smiled. You talk to me as if I'm one of your shinobi. I don't have to show any of you any respect. You guys want my help, not the other way around. And besides, respect is earned, not given away so freely. Kaharu was angry. She was about to say something when Hiyashi decided to make comment. We have very competent ninjas. We thought that you would love the opportunity that we had decided to present to you. Naruto looked at Hiyashi curiously. Oh, what opportunity are you talking about? To become a shinobi of the leaf again, Tsunade said proudly. Naruto looked at Tsunade. So that's the opportunity that Hyuga was talking about. Wow. I really don't know what to say, Naruto replied with a hint of sarcasm. The council members did not catch it. Tasuki, a middle-aged woman with white-green hair and brown eyes, looked at the Kyuubi container with a smile. You don't have to say anything. We will reinstate you as a leaf shinobi and promote you to Junin. Seeing as you're ranked as an S-class nin in the bingo book, it wouldn't be a problem to do so. You get to enjoy life in Konoha like you did before you left. Naruto looked at Tasuki like he was about to cry with joy. I just want to say. Everyone in the council was smiling. They knew the boy would fight for them as long as they offered him the chance to return home. There was no way he was going to turn down this offer. On the other hand, Tsunade wasn't fooled by Naruto's act for a minuto and knew what was coming. When hell freezes over. The council gasped in shock. They soon narrowed their eyes at the blonde. You kicked me out because you said I was the reason why everyone got injured in the mission to rescue Sasuke, and it was also my fault for his defection. I'm sure we all know why you really banished me, but I'm not going to get into that. As for being a shinobi of Konoha, thanks but no thanks. Inoshi spoke. Naruto, be reasonable. What about your dream? Being a Konoha ninja, you would once again have the chance to become Hokage. That dream died the day I was left to rot by this village. That day was also the birth of a new dream. And what was that dream? Tsunade questioned. To become the strongest ninja in the world. Since that is no longer a dream and is now a reality, I really have no more dreams to pursue. There was laughter around the table from council members. Kataki Waga, an old man with gray hair, black eyes, and a scar on his cheek made a comment. You may be powerful, kid, but you're not the strongest ninja in the world. Tsunade and Jiraiya are still the best ninjas around. Just because you have that fox to draw power off doesn't make you the strongest. Hiyashi spoke, that's borrowed strength. Don't sit here and get cocky, kid. Who said anything about using the Kyuubi? Yes, it's true that I can draw his power. But I haven't drawn his power ever since I was 12. I say I'm the strongest because I know what I'm capable of even without the fox's power. All of you, on the other hand, have no idea. Tsunade ended their squabble. Naruto doesn't really want to become a ninja of Konoha. Although it saddens me, I respect his wishes. For his services he has asked for a fee of 90 million ryu. Mitokado Homura was outraged. We will not be bullied by some brat. This is an outrageous demand, Tsunade. The vein on Tsunade's head started to bulge. Not another word, Homura. Although this is an outrageous demand, we did ask him for his help. Besides, Naruto's allegiance to Konoha and his reputation might get the Rain to force Cloud to sign a treaty of neutrality. The council knew she was right. It was no doubt that Naruto was feared throughout Rain, who was allied with the Cloud in this war. They knew this was the reason Tsunade suggested that they offer Naruto to become a shinobi again. She also had feelings for the boy as well. Tsunade spoke once more. All in favor for paying for the services of Uzumaki Naruto. Everyone raised their hand. Tsunade smiled. Well, Naruto, we held up our end, so it's time you hold up yours. We will discuss the payment plan at a later date. You are to report to my office at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, where you will be placed on a team with Chunins and Junins. Tell me who I'm working with, and what the mission is. I'd rather know now. Well, you're teaming up with 4 Chunins and 2 Junins for this mission, Tsunade replied. I asked who they were, not their ranks. For the sake of the mission, I need to know who they are and their capabilities. Tsunade leaned back in her chair then spoke, very well. The members of your team will be Sarutobi Konohamaru, Udon, Hyuga Hanabi, Hyuga Hinata, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, acting as squad leader. Naruto stroked his chin. Why are there 2 Hyugas? Honestly, I think 1 Hyuga is enough. Hinata, in my opinion, should be adequate for this mission. The other Hyuga isn't really needed. Hiyashi's anger was visible to everyone in the council. They all knew how highly he thought of Hanabi, and for Naruto to say that he preferred Hinata over Hanabi was crazy. Hiyashi spoke. Hanabi is the best the Hyuga has to offer. If anything, Hinata is the one not needed on this mission. She is weak. If you're going to suggest a Hyuga, never suggest the weakest of them all. Naruto shook his head in agreement. You're right. Hiyashi smiled at the boy. Naruto returned the smile, then spoke again. Since Neji is clearly the strongest Hyuga, why not have him replace them both? Shikaku actually smiled at Naruto's comment. He knew Naruto was getting under the skin of Hiyashi. He also was glad that he had knocked him down a peg by stating that Neji, a member of the branch house, was stronger than the heir of the main house. Tsunade wanted to laugh but decided to continue. Naruto, both Hyugas are capable. Neji isn't on this team because I need his presence elsewhere. This team I've selected is perfect for the mission at hand. Okay, please inform me of their skills, Naruto replied. Konohamaru's taijutsu is superb. His ninjutsu is a little above average and his genjutsu is mediocre. Udon is the strategist of this team. You have worked with Shikamaru. Udon is the next best thing. All of his other skills are mediocre. Udon may be good, but I would trust a plan developed by Shikamaru with my life. Anyway, please continue. Right. Hanabi is arguably the best Chunin in the village. Her taijutsu skills are superb, and her ability to see through genjutsu as well. Hinata is basically the same as Hanabi, but Hanabi's taijutsu is slightly better. Sakura is the medic of the team. She will try not to fight but don't worry about protecting her. I've trained her so she is more than capable of handling herself. Sasuke is probably the best ninja in the village. Sasuke isn't really lacking in any skills. Okay. I think that's good enough. Shuza finally decided to speak. You know all of their skills, but nobody really knows yours. Tsunade looked at the big-boned man, then back to Naruto. So, Naruto, what are your skills? Naruto stroked his chin again. Well, my taijutsu, in my opinion, is second to none. My ninjutsu is excellent, and although I'm not a master at genjutsu, I am exceptional in it, and my kenjutsu is only second to one. Tsunade looked at Naruto. She wanted to question him more but knew she wouldn't get the answers she wanted, so she decided to end the meeting. This meeting is over. Naruto, report to my office at 9 a.m. I will tell you the mission overview then. Naruto got up and left the council room. Naruto exited the building and decided to head over to the hotel where his fiancée and her mother were. However, he smelt something that he hadn't smelt or eaten in a long time. Ichiraku ramen. Naruto walked in and took a seat. The old man who ran the shop was behind the counter cooking. He heard the person come in. He didn't turn around to greet the person. Welcome to Ichiraku. How may I help you? Naruto spoke. Old man, you can start by getting your number one customer a big bowl of miso ramen. The old man turned around once he heard the guy say he was his number one customer. When he saw the blonde sitting there, he was excited with joy. Naruto. It's good to see you. This place wasn't the same without you. Well, I had no control over that. But I'm here now and I haven't had a good bowl of ramen in 6 years. Well, don't worry, this one is on the house. I'm just glad you're back, the old man said. Naruto just smiled at the old man. He was happy to be back at the stand. This place was his safe haven while living in this village. Naruto looked all over the shop but couldn't find what he was looking for. Hey, where is Ayame-ne-chan? Looking for me? Naruto turned to where he heard the voice. He saw Ayame standing by the door, which led to the storage at the back of the shop, in her apron. She really didn't change all that much in his opinion. If anything, she looked better than what he remembered. Ayame-ne-chan, it's so glad to see you. I've really missed you and the old man. Ayame smiled. I missed you too, Naruto-kun. Anyway, what brings you back into town? Naruto's face became serious. Just business. I don't know how long I will be here, but I'm leaving when my job is complete. That's too bad. Father and I really missed you. Well, Naruto, I have a lot of work to do, but please come by the shop again so we can catch up, okay? Naruto smiled at the girl. Will do. See you later, Naruto-kun. She waved and headed back to the storage area at the back of the shop. Later, Ayame-ne-chan. While Naruto old man leaned on the counter. She's right, you know. Things haven't been the same since you left. I heard what happened, if there was anything that I could have done. He cut the old man off. Don't worry about it. I know you would have. Well, I have to go, thanks for the meal. Naruto got up from the chair and headed to the hotel. As he was walking, he could see the people staring at him. Not the same cold stares, those stares were out of curiousness. He figured it wouldn't be long till word got out about him. Naruto stopped and looked at the hotel. He had finally arrived. After asking the receptionist what room Yumi and Mai was in, he headed to the room. Mai was in the room next to Yumi. Naruto knocked on the door to Yumi's room. At the door stood the prettiest woman he would ever see. Hey, sweetie, she embraced him in a hug. After they broke away, they entered the room. Yumi decided to speak. Naruto-kun, are you okay? I was so worried about you. I'm fine. Anyway, what did you do in the hour that I was gone? Yumi walked to the bed and sat down. Not much really. I was waiting for you to come back so that you could show me around. I mean, if that's okay with you. She knew Naruto's history, so she didn't want to force him into showing her around. Naruto, who was leaning against the wall, walked up and sat next to Yumi. Okay. I'll show you around if that's what you want. Besides, there's one person I want you to meet. She looked at him with a questionable look. Who might this person be? Iruka-sensei. I haven't seen him in a while and I want you to meet him. She smiled. Sure. But can we go before it gets dark? What about your mother? Maybe she wants to come with us, Naruto said. She asked that guy with the white eyes to show her to the bathhouse, but the girl with the blonde hair volunteered. Naruto knew that she was talking about Ino. He knew Ino wouldn't pass up on this opportunity to try and get Mai to tell her about himself. Naruto didn't worry about it. Mai didn't know what he did prior to meeting her and Yumi. Ino was fishing in a pond with no fish. He laughed in his head knowing that the girl would be mad when she didn't get the information she wanted. The couple exited the hotel and was walking through the busy village. Naruto grabbed Yumi's hand while they walked down the street. Naruto felt he was being watched. Judging by the stealth of the person, he knew that it was his old Junin instructor. He stopped. Yumi got curious, then looked at Naruto. Naruto-kun, why did we stop? Is something wrong? Naruto looked down at the woman who was a head shorter than him. No, nothing's wrong. We're just being followed. But don't worry, we're not in any danger. With that said, Naruto turned to face straight ahead. Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy, you can all come out now. Asuma appeared directly in front of Naruto, Guy appeared on Yumi's left, Kurenai on Naruto's right, and Kakashi was lying in the tree pretending to read his book. Yo, Naruto. Kakashi folded his book and appeared next to Asuma. What do you want, Hitaki? Kakashi had expected that from Naruto. Kurenai was looking in awe at how much Naruto had grown. She thought that if he was a couple of years older and she wasn't seeing Asuma, she would consider dating him. Guy spoke in his usual manner. Naruto, it's so good to see you again. Are you enjoying your springtme of youth? It's good to have you as a leaf ninja again. Naruto looked at Guy with a serious look. I'm not a leaf shinobi. Asuma responded in shock. What? I thought that they reinstated you. Naruto turned to Asuma. They wanted to reinstate me, but I declined. Why would you do that, Naruto? Kurenai asked. Do you actually think that I would want to be a shinobi of this village after what had happened 6 years ago? I'm not fighting for this village out of love or loyalty. I'm only here to fulfill my end of a deal. Kakashi spoke. So, what is the deal that has brought you back here? I'm being paid 90 million ryu for my services. After the job is done, I'm leaving this place, he said in disgust. Kurenai was shocked that he was being paid that much, but more shocked that the council had approved. Naruto was getting annoyed, to say the very least. Kakashi, if you don't want anything, please leave me alone. Kakashi looked at Naruto. Then he looked at the girl who was holding on to his left arm. Naruto, who's your friend? This is Yumi, my fiancé. Kurenai looked at the girl. She knew her former student was going to be crushed when she found out that Naruto was engaged. She knew how much the girl cared for Naruto and how hurt and depressed she was when he left. Kurenai remembered it had taken the girl almost a year to get out of her depression. Guy gave Naruto the nice guy pose. Naruto, you had chosen a beautiful flower to share the springtime of youth with. Thanks, Guy, Naruto replied with a clueless expression. Asuma spoke. Naruto, you've made quite a name for yourself. You asked Kakashi what we wanted. Well, the reason we're here is. Naruto interjected, you're here to measure my skills. I knew that Tsunade would send somebody to test my skills. No matter, you guys won't see much. I don't intend to break a sweat. Kakashi looked at Naruto with wonder. He wondered if Naruto really came so far that he could dispatch 4 of Konoha's elites. Asuma broke his concentration. I don't think we will be that easy to beat, Naruto replied. Let's get this over with. Okay. I promised Yumi that I would show her around. Kakashi decided to speak. Meet us at Team 7's former training ground. With that, all 4 Junin vanished. Naruto looked at Yumi. Walk around and have fun. I'll find you when I'm done. How long do you think you're going to be? 5, 10 minutes tops, Naruto replied. Okay. But you better be back by that time. You know how I hate it when you're late, right? Yumi glared dangerously at Naruto. The blonde warrior gulped. He would rather face an army of Hokages than face an upset Yumi. Don't worry, I'll be back within that time. I promise. He kissed her cheek and was off. She looked at the town to see so many shops. She decided to walk until she saw a clothes shop. Team 7 training ground. Naruto appeared a minute after Kakashi, Kurenai, Asuma, and Guy did. Naruto was standing in the middle while being surrounded by the 4 Junins. Kakashi lifted up his Hiteate to reveal his Sharingan. Guy took a fighting stance, Kurenai did the same. Asuma pulled out his knuckle knives. Kakashi and Guy were standing in front of him, while Kurenai and Asuma stood behind him. Kurenai started it off by creating an illusion. Naruto was impressed to say the least. Everyone disappeared from view. All he saw was a barren wasteland devoid of everything. He knew his eyes were deceiving him, so he pulled a black cloth out of his pocket and covered his eyes. Kurenai took to the trees after her jutsu took effect. She was watching and wondering why he did that. She then realized he was blocking his vision. She didn't believe he could beat the illusion by doing this. She knew better than anyone that the illusion also messes with your hearing and sense of smell as well. The only people that could defeat this genjutsu were Uchihas, Hyugas, and people who were masters of genjutsus. Naruto was impressed, but he knew that this was no ordinary genjutsu. He knew that everything that he smelled and heard were distractions from his real targets. But as good of a genjutsu this was, Naruto knew that this wouldn't work on him. He decided who would be the first one he would take out. Naruto vanished from everyone's sight. Kakashi realized where Naruto went. His eyes went wide. He looked at the tree Kurenai was in. Kurenai, watch out. She turned her head to face the person behind her. Black and gold would be the last thing she would see. Naruto hit her in the back of her neck. He placed his sword back on his back. He then grabbed her and leapt down to the ground where they were still watching. He laid her down in the middle of the field. That genjutsu was one of the strongest. Evjutsu will be effective against me. I may not be that good at performing them, but I mastered a way to counter all of them. Since the nuisance is out of the way, let us continue. Naruto took off the blindfold. Asuma was shocked that Naruto had broken Kurenai's strongest genjutsu. How the hell did you break it? No one with the exception of the Uchiha and the Hyuga could break that jutsu. Naruto looked at Asuma. Your eyes aren't the only thing to see with. There is one thing that a ninja can't mask no matter what, and that is their chakra signature. I knew where you all were at because I could sense your chakra. So now that you know how I broke it, care to continue? Kakashi formed hand seals. He then shouted, Kaden, Housenka no Jutsu. Naruto flipped out of the way of the fireballs that were heading his way. He jumped into a tree only to find Asuma behind him. Asuma threw a kick with his left leg. Naruto's side flipped out of the tree back onto the training ground. Guy appeared on his right. He threw a punch that Naruto ducked under. But before Naruto could counter, he saw two kunais heading in his direction from his left. The kunai hit him dead on. Guy jumped back after seeing Naruto was hit. It's over, Naruto. Naruto looked up at Guy and smirked, sorry Guy, but I'm not the real one. The clone then poofed out of existence. Kakashi, who had thrown the kunai, had his eyes widened when he realized what Naruto had done. If anyone could see under his mask, they would have seen him smiling. All Guy saw was Asuma falling out of the tree. He was clearly out cold. Naruto landed next to Asuma. And then there was two. Before we continue, Guy, could you take off your weights? I would like to fight you at your fullest. Guy gave Naruto the nice guy pose. Since you asked so nicely, I will do so. Guy took off the rest of his weights. Kakashi appeared next to Guy. He whispered so Naruto couldn't hear the two. Listen Guy, he's better than I expected him to be. Keep your guard up. Guy shook his head. He dashed off to face Naruto. Guy threw a kick with his right foot. Naruto blocked. Guy was moving so fast that Naruto found himself on the defensive. He knew Guy was fast, but this was incredible. Naruto blocked a punch, but he wasn't so lucky with the next punch. Naruto, my taijutsu is superior to yours. But, I will say that you are extremely talented, however you lack the speed. Naruto smirked, then let's say I get rid of my ankle weights. I would get rid of the rest, but judging by your speed without your weights, that won't be necessary. Naruto took of the sticker scrolls that were taped on the inside of his sandals. He looked at Guy before blurring out of sight. He appeared in front of Guy with his hand planted in the man's stomach. Guy looked in shock before he fell over, clutching his stomach. Naruto then turned his attention to Kakashi. Kakashi and Naruto took to the air. Kakashi threw a punch which Naruto blocked with ease, and he flipped over Kakashi's punch, landing in front of a tree. As soon as the copy ninja landed, he threw at least 7 shuriken. Naruto dodged them all. The white-haired ninja was expecting him to, for Naruto wasn't his real target. Naruto realized his mistake, but the wires wrapped around him, pinning him to the tree. Kakashi walked up to Naruto. You did well, but you failed to look underneath the underneath. Naruto just looked at Kakashi. No, I did. But maybe you should. Naruto turned into a log of wood. A pair of hands broke through the ground and grabbed his feet. Before he could move, he felt the blade of a sword pressed against his throat. "This is over, Kakashi. You all lose. If this was a real mission, you would all be dead." Kakashi was shocked to say the least. "When did you make a clone?" "When I saw you throwing the shuriken, I used Kawarimi, then I made a clone to grab you from underground. That was all the time I needed to get behind you." Naruto placed the sword back in its holster. Kakashi turned around to face him. "You've gotten better. I heard the rumors and assumed you were good, but I didn't expect you to be this good." "Well, I've been training my ass off since I left here. Anyway, as fun as it was to beat all of you guys in A." Naruto looked at his wristwatch. 7 minutes span. "I really have to get back to Yumi. Later." With that, Naruto disappeared. On a tree nearby, Tsunade watched the whole thing in awe. She had just witnessed Naruto dispatch 4 of Konoha's elite Junins without even breaking a sweat. She spoke out loud to no one in particular. How did he get so strong? He has trained himself beyond human limits. She looked over to her right to see a man she hadn't seen in approximately 6 years. The only word that she could utter was, "Gee." Tsunade looked over the man that was once her teammate. To her, not much had changed about him. He still wore the exact same outfit that he wore before he left the village, vowing to not return again. She wondered if he still sees her as a friend or as traitor of some sorts. After all, wasn't this how Naruto saw her? Jiraiya decided to break the silence. "It's been a while, Tsunade." "Yes, it most certainly has. What brings you back?" she asked. Jiraiya, who was leaning against a tree, broke eye contact with the woman before him to look off into space. "Well, I haven't seen my student in 6 months. I decided it would be nice to see him." She had a sad look on her face. "Oh, is that the only reason?" He decided to meet her eyes again. "No." The slug princess was now curious. "Then, what is your other reason?" "My other reason is to be able to tell you not to do it." She had an idea of what he was getting at. Jiraiya, probably more so than anyone else, knew how she felt about Naruto. Tsunade knew, deep down, why Jiraiya told her not to do it, but she decided to question it anyway. "Why shouldn't I do it, huh? Give me one good reason." His eyes visibly showed his anger. "Give you a reason? I can give you a whole list of reasons, but I won't. But I will give you a reason that should be good enough." For the first time in his life, he is happy. Don't try to ruin his happiness, please. Tsunade looked at her feet. "Jiraiya, he belongs home in this village. I have to try and make him see that. I just wish." The toad hermit stopped her before she could finish. "You just wish that you can correct your mistake. Unlike Dan and Nawaki, where you didn't have control over the situations." Tsunade tensed up the mention of her lover and brother. "You had full control over the situation with Naruto." Tsunade knew everything Jiraiya had said was right. She could have forced the council to give in, but instead, she had agreed to banish Naruto. She never had any intention on making his banishment permanent. She was going to have him return in a couple of years and tell everyone of his heritage. She believed that this would make people accept him more. A tear fell down her cheek. "I did what I felt was best for Naruto and the village at the time. Naruto needed to get away, and I believed that in time the villagers would get over what they believed Naruto to be. I sent some of his friends to search for him after 3 years had passed. They never were able to find him because he covered up his tracks so well. I planned on telling the village of his heritage when he returned." She turned to Jiraiya with tears falling down her face freely. "Jiraiya, please understand that I never wanted to hurt him. I love him as if he was my own son. He is the only reason why I have remained Hokage. My goal is to free this village of its hate. Jiraiya, I fear that I have lost the chance to make amends. It hurts because I'm the one who has caused him more pain. Jiraiya, I don't know what to do." The blonde placed her hands in her face to grieve. Jiraiya decided to jump to the branch that she was on to console her. He wrapped his arms around her and let her cry in his chest. "I thought that you wanted him to serve the village because of his skills. I didn't know that you were doing this because you believed it would benefit him. Now I know what you're realted." Tsunade looked up into his eyes. "Jiraiya, how can I get him to stay? This village needs him more than ever. He carries the will of the fire in him. It's going to be hard to get him to return. You will have to sit down with him and talk to him and explain why you did what you did. I know you care about him, but he feels that you had betrayed him. Honestly, I thought you did too. Now that I had heard your reasons for doing what you did what you felt was best. even if it was a wrong decision. Did you ever tell him about his father? She questioned while wiping away her tears. Jiraiya broke the embrace between the two of them. I was planning on telling him of his heritage this year. His father knew that his enemies would harm his son with him gone, so he wanted Naruto to be told when he was 18. He figured Naruto would be strong enough to handle his enemies by then. He willed me and Sarutobi-sensei to let Naruto know of his heritage when he became of age. I'm curious, how did you find out that Yondaime was Naruto's father? I have access to the Hokage's personal files. It was only a matter of time before I found out who his parents were. But it was smart of Sarutobi-sensei to change his last name. Even though they look alike, people wouldn't question it because they simply had different last names, she replied. Yay, that was for Naruto's protection as well. He decided to give the boy his mother's maiden name. Only Sarutobi-sensei and I knew who Naruto's mother was. Minato kept that hidden from everyone else. There was no way anyone could have figured it out, it was set up perfectly. Tsunade spoke once more. Well, it wasn't set up that perfect. One person did manage to figure it out. Jiraiya was shocked to say the least. He wondered who was smart enough to figure it out. Really, who is this person? He's Konoha's lead strategist, she replied. What's his name? He asked. Nara Shikamaru. Somewhere across town in a barbecue shack. Ahahua. A young man, with a lazy look thought, my allergies must be acting up again. How troublesome. Back to across town, at the trees near Training Ground 7. How did he figure it out? Jiraiya asked. He said he put 2 and 2 together. He came to my office about 2 weeks after Naruto left. Flashback. Tsunade was sitting at her desk in her office. She was going over the decision she made 2 weeks ago. Tsunade's assistant, Shizune, came in her office holding a cute little pig in her arms. Tsunade-sama, Nara Shikamaru is here to see you. The Godem motioned for her to send him in. Nara Shikamaru stood before her in his Chunin vest. She motioned for him to take a seat. What brings you here, Shikamaru? I wish to ask you a personal question. She rested her elbows on the desk. She then placed her head on the back of her hands for support. What is your question? Why did you kick Naruto out this village knowing the sacrifice that his father made to protect it? She decided to make up a factious story about Naruto parents so the boy wouldn't press the matter further. What are talking about? Naruto was an orphan. No one know who his parents are. Shikamaru looked at her with a serious look. You can play dumb all you want, but I know the truth. You're right, Naruto was an orphan. But I started to think, why did the villagers hate Naruto so much? I mean, he was a prankster, but that's not a good enough reason to hate him as much as the villagers did. So I started putting things together. Tsunade knew where he was going with this. She prayed that she was wrong. So, tell me, what did you find out? First, I remembered our academy days. My parents and most of the parents, all of the parents, told their kids to stay away from him because he was nothing but trouble. I also overheard some old man calling him a good-for-nothing monster. But why would they call him that? This is a theory you came up with, so you tell me, the Hokage stated. The lazy Chunin continued, it wasn't until recently that I started to think things over, before it was just too troublesome. Then it all hit me like a ton of bricks. The one clue that put all of the pieces together was the fact about Naruto's birthday. It's not unusual for someone to be born October 10th, but he was born exactly when the Kyuubi attacked. I only knew his birthday because I overheard Hinata asking Iruka-sensei his birthday. She never specified her real reason, but I figured out her reason when he came to class the next day sporting a pair of goggles on his head, telling Iruka that someone gave him a birthday gift. You're rambling, Nara. Godem stated in a bored tone. I suppose. But here is what I came up with. There was no way the fourth could kill the Kyuubi. Do you doubt his skills? No, just stating a fact. I did some research of my own. I asked Gaara's sister about the demon that was sealed inside of him. I asked her why didn't they kill it like the Yondaime had killed the Kyuubi. She laughed at me and told me that there was no way for a human to kill a demon. She believed that the fourth had to seal it inside of something. I was informed the demon that was inside of Gaara was the one-tailed demon Shukaku. I thought it was too troublesome to argue about how the fourth had killed the 9 tails. But she made me wonder, how do you kill a demon? So I started to research demons. She was right, there is no way you can kill a demon. Since Kyuubi is the strongest of the tailed beasts, the only way he could be defeated was by being sealed inside something. You can't seal it in an adult because the adult would die. The only feasible option is a newborn, so both the demon and the newborn's chakra could fuse. What are you getting at, Nara? She stated in a tone that was openly showed that her patience was wearing thin. Naruto is hated by the village. His birthday is the day the Kyuubi attack. The red chakra he used to beat Neji in the Chunin exams. What I'm getting at is that Naruto is the container for the Kyuubi and the son of Yondaime Hokage. There was a minute of silence. How did you know? She questioned. Know that he was the son of the fourth? Yes, tell me how? She asked. After I figured out he was the container for the Kyuubi, the rest fell into place. Everyone said the fourth was an honorable man, so there is no way he would ask a villager to sacrifice one of their babies. So I figured he would sacrifice his own son instead. Also, the blonde hair and blue eyes are a dead giveaway. The Godem spoke. You know all this, what else do you know? Well, that's where you come in to fill in the blanks. You see, I know that Yondaime's name was Namikaze Minato. The history files never said anything about him having a kid or even a wife, so I looked up the name Uzumaki in the historical archives and found the name of a woman called Uzumaki Kushina. I figure that she is Naruto's mother and the fourth's wife. You seem to know more than you should. What do you need me to fill in? She questioned. Why were his marriage and his son hidden from the village? Tsunade got up to look out the window. She looked at the setting sun with her hands behind her back. She kept her gaze at the sky. Tsunade spoke. I don't know why his marriage was hidden, but if I had to guess, it was to protect his wife from his enemies. As for Naruto, I suspect Sandaime had a hand in covering up his heritage to the village. I believe he did this for the same reason that the Yondaime covered up his marriage. It makes sense. Yondaime did have many enemies because of the Konoha War. What better way to get payback on a man than to go after his family? The lazy Chunin replied. She turned to Shikamaru. You seem to know everything I know. As for me banishing Naruto, it was for his own good as well as the village. This village hates him, so I sent him away in hopes he would get stronger. I know Jiraiya is keeping tabs on him, so I don't have to worry about his safety. When the time is right, I plan to send for him to tell him and the village everything. Well, if that is all, then you are dismissed. Shikamaru got up out of office. End of flashback. So you do know me as well as I thought. The perverted hermit responded. I knew you wouldn't leave him to die, Tsunade stated. Well, I did keep tabs on him, but I wasn't with him. Let's just say that I influenced his training more than he knows. How so? She questioned. Jiraiya responded. Well, I followed him to Water Country. There I met up with an old friend by the name of Saichi Kato. Her eyes widened. One of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Last I heard, he was a ruthless Misen Nin. No, he just left his country because he discovered the corruption of his village and the Mizukage. Since he owed me a favor, I asked him to train Naruto in the art of the sword. I also asked that he teach him some water justice and better chakra control. He complied and kept me updated on Naruto's performance. He left Kato after 2 years of training with him and doing missions. Wait a minute, he was only 14 then. What did he do during the next year? She asked. Well, he went to Sea Country. I got word that that was where he was heading, so I asked a dear friend of mine by the name Ryuho to finish up his sword training. The perverted hermit replied. Impossible. There is no way that a samurai, and the best one in the world at that, would train a ninja in his art, stated the Godem bluntly. Well, he was returning a favor, not to me anyways. You see, Minato had introduced him to his wife, so I suggested it was only right that he return the favor by training Minato's only son. I also informed him to keep Naruto's heritage a secret. We set it up so that he challenged Naruto to a sword fight. He won, of course, and offered to train Naruto. Because of his previous sword training under Kato, it only took him a year to master the style. So he wasn't kidding when he said that his sword skills were only second to one, stated the Slug Princess. Nope. The kid really is a great swordsman. Anyway, the day he left the Minashu clan, I was waiting for him outside of the compound. I informed it was time to finish his training. For the next year I worked him into the ground. When he left me, there was no doubt in my mind that he was one of the strongest fighters in the world, he said confidently. I knew you would protect him. I'm just glad it was long enough for us to defeat Akatsuki and the Sound. If they would have got him, I don't know what I would have done. Jiraiya spoke once more. Well, he was the reason you guys beat Akatsuki in the first place. Her curiosity forced her to ask, how do you figure so? Well, he did take out 3 of 4 of their key members. He took out Kazuya Ang, Iwaz, Gemstone, Bai Hoshu of the Rain, and the leader Sucho Tosca, the Clouds, Red Lighting, he stated. Jiraiya, out of the top 5 S-class criminals in the bingo book, you just named 3. Those fighters would be hard for even us to beat. The Slug Princess stated. The only ones who could give us a run for our money is Red Lighting, Orochimaru, and Itachi, he replied. Well, since all of them are dead, the only ones who could give us a run for our money now are Sasuke and Naruto, she stated. So he did kill Itachi? You know Orochimaru only went after him because he couldn't defeat Itachi, Jiraiya replied. Yay, that's what I figured. Anyway, those 2 are probably stronger than us now, told the white-haired man. Jiraiya wondered if Tsunade was going to retire soon. He knew that she always wanted to give her position Naruto, but since he was no longer a member of the village, she wondered who she would select to be the Rokudame Hokage. Tsunade, have Chosen decided who will replace you as Hokage? She simply replied, no. There was an uncomfortable silence. The wind began to pick up, rustling her blonde pigtails and her green robe and his white hair as well his red robe. So we're just going to leave the position unfilled? She responded, I already told the council that I will not be selecting a successor. So they have decided to select Uchiha Sasuke as the Rokudame. You already know who I wanted to replace me. Giving her a light-hearted smile, he placed a hand on her shoulder. Yeah, I do. Anyway, let's get out of this tree and head to a local bar. I think we could both use some sake. She smiled at the white-haired man. Sounds like a great plan. Jiraiya and Tsunade jumped out of the trees and headed back to the town. Naruto had just finished his fight with Kakashi and the other Junins. He was now looking for Yumi, but he couldn't find her anywhere. He looked at his watch and knew that his 10 minutes were almost up. Think Naruto. Where the hell could she be? In that instant he got it. He ran to the nearest clothing shop in the area. Naruto entered the shop and found Yumi looking at some shirts. He let out a sigh of relief. He decided to slide behind, put his hands over her eyes. Guess who? Yumi smiled, already knowing it was her loving Naruto. I suspect it's my Naruto-kun, but he said that he would be here in 5 minutes. Oh, that's right, you said 10 minutes max. I guess they must have been good if they kept you for more than 5 minutes. Either that or you're not a very good ninja. Naruto took his hand away from her eyes. She turned to face him so she could look him in the eyes when spoke. That was cold, Yumi. But I'll show you how great of a ninja I am. She quirked her eyebrow. How do you intend to do that, Uzumaki-sama? He gave her an evil smile, like this. He started tickling her all over. She was helpless to do anything but giggle. He finally stopped with a satisfied smirk. The great Uzumaki is always triumphant in the end. She walked up to him and tiptoed to his ear to speak so no one could but him. You may have won the battle, but my lingerie will win the war. I see. It seems that I will never win a war against you, he said in a defeated tone. She walked back to look at the clothes. She then turned her head slightly to reveal a smile that spread across her face. Nope, not ever. He scratched the back of his head, a habit which had survived with him from his genin days. Well, I guess I can live with that. Are you almost done? I want to go see Iruka-sensei. Actually, I've been done for a while. I was just waiting for you, Yumi replied. Really? Where are the shopping bags? Naruto questioned. I had them delivered to the hotel. There was a little boy in here looking for some clothes, so I asked him if he would take my clothes back to the hotel for me. I paid him for his service, of course. When we return, I'll just pick them up at the front desk. Okay. Let's go. Naruto extended his hand for Yumi to grab. They exited the shop and headed to the academy. It was late in the afternoon and class was already out. Naruto knew that Iruka would be grading papers in his class. Naruto and Yumi arrived at the academy. Naruto was taking in his surroundings and reminiscing his childhood. Although he did have a bad childhood, there were some good times. He remembered a time when Choji, Shikamaru, Kiba, and himself had ditched Iruka and ran out of the classroom after he had given them an important lecture. He entered the class but he didn't see Iruka. He saw a bowl of ramen on the side of a desk filled with paper. He guessed Iruka had stepped out for a second, so he decided to look around. He looked at the seats which were the same. He looked at the seat that him and Choji used to sit in and exchange snacks. He looked up to the seat at the back of the class where him and Shikamaru uses to sleep. He smiled to himself. Those were the good times. Unknowingly to Naruto and Yumi, a man with a hairstyle that resembled a pineapple and a scar lying across his nose entered the room. "Excuse me. May I help the two of you?" Iruka asked. Yumi turned her gaze from the window to the man who had entered the room. Naruto, however, decided not to turn around. He just closed his eyes and smiled. "It's been a while, Iruka-sensei?" Naruto turned around to face the man he saw as a father figure. Iruka gasped in shock. He couldn't believe the person before his eyes. After looking Naruto up and down to make sure I smile, "Naruto, is it really you?" "The one and only," he replied proudly. Iruka and Naruto seemed to move simultaneously. They embraced each other in a hug, which was to be expected since they hadn't seen each other in years. They broke their embrace. Iruka was the first to speak. "Naruto, how you been?" "I was worried sick. Where did you go? Are you okay?" A drop of sweat appeared on the back of Naruto's head. "Slow down." He gathered himself. "I've been good. Did you get the letters that I sent you?" "Each one that you sent me. I just wish you left an address so I could write back," the academy teacher replied. Iruka looked at Naruto. He realized that there was a lady standing next to him. "Naruto, who is your friend?" "Oh, where are my manners?" "Iruka-sensei, this is Yumi." "Yumi, meet Iruka-sensei." Naruto introduced the two. They both shook hands. "So this is the Yumi that I've been hearing so much about in your letters." "Naruto, you have a beautiful girlfriend," Iruka complimented. Yumi blushed. "Why, thank you, sir, and soon-to-be wife." Naruto muttered softly so no one could hear. "Please, just call me Iruka." Naruto spoke before silence could take over. "Iruka-sensei, I assume you gave me up to Oba-chan." Iruka looked like he was about to apologize, but Naruto cut him off before he could say anything. "Don't worry about it. I know you wouldn't have done it if you thought that they were going to hurt me." Iruka spoke. "I only did it because they said that they was going to reinstate you as ninja again. I know it's selfish, but I just wanted you back home so I could see you." "Don't worry. I'm here for the time being. I've got a feeling I'm going to be here for a while, so we will definitely have time to catch up." The ninja known as the Golden Fox replied. Naruto grabbed Yumi's hand and they both headed towards the exit. Iruka spoke before they left. "Naruto, it is really good to see you again." Naruto stopped at the doorway. "It's good to see you too, Iruka-sensei. It's good to see you too." Naruto and Yumi exited the classroom. Iruka went back to his desk and returned to grading papers. He opened his desk drawer to reveal a blue hiteate with the leaf symbol engraved on the metal plate. He smiled at the sight of the blue headband. After closing the drawer, he returned back to grading papers. At a local barbecue shack sitting at a table, with a grill in the middle, that seated at least 12, were 12 junins. The junins that were sitting at the restaurants were Minato Anko, Yuhi Kurenai, Sarutobi Asuma, Hitaki Kakashi, Maeda Guy, Genma, Hyuga Neji, Ebisu, Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, Tenten, and Rock Lee. Guy was telling all of those who had not participated in the skirmish with Naruto about how easily they were defeated. Everyone, with the exception of Kurenai, Asuma, and Kakashi, was shocked. "Impossible. There is no way he could beat all four of you," Anko stated. "I wish that was true, Anko, but he made us look like rookies who didn't know their place," Asuma said while preparing to smoke a cigarette. "He's that good, Anko. He even broke my powerful genjutsu," Kurenai replied. Everyone was shocked. The senbon fell out of Genma's mouth. Kurenai was the village's genjutsu specialist. To hear that Naruto broke her most powerful genjutsu was surprising. Shikamaru decided to speak. "I bet the Hokage put you up to the troublesome task of testing Naruto's abilities." "Yes, she did. Truth be told, I didn't expect him to improve that much. If I had to guess, I would say he's on par with Sasuke," Kakashi replied. Ebisu spoke. "You may be right." Neji, who was sipping his tea, put it down to speak. "I don't know what his skill level is now, but he most certainly improved." He looked at Tenten and Shikamaru. "You two had to notice it when we were sent to retrieve him." Tenten wondered what Neji was getting at. "What do you mean, Neji?" Shikamaru answered. He means how Naruto was able to get behind Ino without her even noticing until the kunai was at her neck. To tell you the truth, I don't think my shadow bind would have held him if he was serious. He even knew who we were. He called all of us out, remember? Asuma, remembering what Naruto had said before he knocked Kurenai out, well, he did say something about seeing without your eyes before he knocked Kurenai out. What do you think he meant by that? Lee questioned. Kakashi decided to answer. He told us that he was able to sense our chakra signatures. I'm guessing that's how he was able to defeat Kurenai's genjutsu. Well, I wonder who is stronger, Naruto or Sasuke? Enko questioned. Tenten responded, probably Sasuke. He did defeat Itachi, who was said to be even stronger than Orochimaru. Enko looked at Tenten. You're probably right. Sasuke-kun is in line to be the next Hokage. He also knows tons of jutsus. Neji wasn't so sure that Sasuke was stronger. He knew that Naruto was playing with him and the others back in Sun Country. He knew there was a lot more to Naruto than met the eye. Well, that might be a fight we'll see in the near future. They're going on a mission together tomorrow, Shikamaru said. Tenten spoke. They were teammates. I'm sure that they won't fight. You're wrong. Kakashi interrupted. Sasuke and Naruto are rivals. Although they worked well together when the situation called for it, they always were trying to outdo the other. They always fought each other. I think Naruto was the reason Sasuke defected in the first place. What do you mean? Kurenai wondered. Sasuke was always number one in his class. Naruto was the dead last. Sasuke saw that Naruto was improving greatly and thought that he wasn't progressing fast enough. The day after Tsunade had returned, I found them on the roof fighting. I had to interject before they killed each other. Sasuke with a Chidori in his left hand was about to collide with a Rasengan in Naruto's right hand. He knows the Rasengan. Anko yelled out. Almost everyone at the table were shocked while some were confused. What is the Rasengan? Shoji asked with food in his mouth. I think it's a swirling ball of chakra gathered in the hand. Am I correct, Kakashi? Shikamaru questioned. Yes, but how do you know he knew that technique? He used it on one of the sound nins on our mission to retrieve Sasuke. Shikamaru explained. It's also an A-rank jutsu only known to Jiraiya-sama and the Yondaime, Kurenai replied. A fight between the two is almost inevitable, Kakashi stated. Well, Sasuke did defeat Gaara, who has Shukaku sealed inside of him, so I'm sure he can best even Naruto, Tenten stated. You're wrong, Shikamaru stated. Wrong about Sasuke being able to beat Naruto? Tenten replied. No, you're wrong about Sasuke defeating Gaara. Naruto was the one who defeated Gaara. Everyone at the table was in shock. Kakashi was curious because he had always thought that Sasuke defeated Gaara. All of the villagers had thought that it was their precious Uchiha. Shikamaru was one of the few that knew the truth. Temari saw the whole battle. She told me that Naruto saved Sasuke from being killed by Gaara. Well, here's how she described it. Gaara had jumped at Sasuke again, but Sakura jumped in front of him. He slammed her into a tree. He used a giant hand made out of sand to press her against the tree and render her unconscious. I was also told that Naruto created at least 50 Kage Bunshin. He then proceeded to beat Gaara. When Gaara transformed in his Shukaku state, Naruto summoned a giant toad. Naruto can summon Gambunta as well? Kurenai asked with wide eyes. Not surprising, seeing as Jiraiya-sama trained him for the third round of the Chunin exams, Ebisu stated. I thought that you trained him, Ebisu? Kakashi asked. Well, I was going to. I decided to work on his chakra control, so I took him to the hot springs. I figure that it would give him more incentive to stay above water since the water there was hot. Sure. That's the reason. Pervert, Genma said, nudging him in the waist, grinning. I'm not a pervert. I did it for his benefit, really. Anyway, we met Jiraiya-sama there and he took over Gnarl like I was saying. Temari said Naruto summoned a huge frog to fight Gaara. Long story short, Naruto defeated Gaara, not everyone's precious Uchiha. Shikamaru finished. What's that supposed to mean? Anko asked with a little anger in her voice. Shikamaru stood up. It's too troublesome to explain. Besides, I have to hand in my mission report, so I will see you guys. Shikamaru headed to the exit. Naruto and Yumi were walking down the street. Since the sun was setting, they decided to head back to the hotel. Naruto heard a woman's voice call his name and Yumi turned around to see a brunette with clouds cover her private areas. Naruto just smiled. Yumi was furious at the woman, until she transformed into a teenage boy with the standard uniform of a leaf chunin. Naruto ni-san, that was a smoker of a jutsu, the teen stated. Naruto just smiled. Konohamaru, I'm not a kid anymore, so I forbid you to use that ridiculous jutsu. Yumi was thinking to herself. That is a pathetic ninja technique if I ever see one. It's appalling to all women. That's something a pervert would use and enjoy. Good thing my Naruto isn't a category of the former or the latter. She was pleased with her husband-to-be. Naruto pumped his fist and screamed, now let me show you the ultimate orioke, sexy, no jutsu ever created to man. Realizing what Naruto had said, Yumi responded with a slap to the back of his head. Baka. If I ever catch you doing something as ridiculous as that, you can forget about ever touching me again. Naruto recovered from the smack. He then greeted Konohamaru. Hey Konohamaru, how's it hanging? Pretty good bro. I heard we're doing a mission together tomorrow. It's going to be wicked awesome to work with you bro. I know you have tons of kick-ass jutsus. Konohamaru said with excitement. Yeah, I know a lot of jutsus. Maybe I can show you one, Naruto said. Yumi glared at him. It better not be the one that you were talking about earlier, or else. Naruto put his hand up in defense. No, it's something different completely. Konohamaru spoke. Hey bro, who's the hot chick? Is she her? Konohamaru showed Naruto his pinky. Grinning from ear to ear, Naruto replied. Yep. I did pretty well for myself, don't you think? What about you Konohamaru, do you have a special girl? Well, I like Hyuga Hanabi, but I don't think she likes anyone. She acts as if she's too good to socialize with me. But for some reason I still like her. Konohamaru confessed his feeling toward the Hyuga heir to Naruto. Don't worry Konohamaru. Most Hyugas are snobs. If you can't convince her to see how great you are, then it's her loss. Naruto gave his opinion. Naruto and Konohamaru were smiling. Both of their ninja senses kicked in. They quickly turned to the right to see 5 kunais coming in their direction. Naruto grabbed Yumi before she knew what was going on and flipped out of the way. Konohamaru sensed the kunais and flipped out of the way. Naruto landed a foot away from where the kunai was embedded into the floor. He looked to the direction where kunai came from. On the roof stood a man with a Junin vest, black sweats with the shins bandaged and a black long-sleeved shirt. On the arm of his shirt was the symbol of the Uchiha clan. Naruto narrowed his eyes at recognizing at who it was. In angry tone, he decided to speak. Uchiha, Sasuke. Sasuke flipped of the roof and landed in front Naruto. He sported his infamous smirk. You're as slow as ever Dobi. Naruto basically growled his next comment. What do you want Sasuke? Yumi was looking at Sasuke. Naruto had told her about Sasuke and how they fought at this place called the Valley of the End, but he never told her details of the battle. All he said was that he lost. Just came to check out if the rumors were true. Sasuke answered. Those rumors would be that you were back in town. I also heard that you beat Kakashi, Guy, Kurenai, and Asuma. Not bad Dobi. The Uchiha replied. Naruto was wearing a smirk. A lot has changed. No offense, but you're not even a match for me, Sasuke-chan. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. He was pissed. Naruto knew that Barb would anger Sasuke. That's exactly what he wanted. Sasuke calmed down. Your girlfriend is very attractive. Getting her is probably the only thing you did right Dobi. Naruto was getting pissed. He knew what Sasuke was doing because he was doing the same thing. I never knew you liked girls, Sasuke-chan. I mean you always rejected your fangirls. I always thought you played for the other team. Konohamaru and Yumi could feel the tension between the two. They knew that the two were about to explode. Yumi decided to grab Naruto's arm and drag him to the hotel. Naruto-kun, let's go. Naruto nodded and decided to walk off. Sasuke spoke. Getting saved by his girl, that's what I expected of you Dobi. Naruto stopped immediately. He was now officially pissed. He was not going to let this slide. He turned to face Sasuke against Yumi's protest. You know Sasuke, I don't like fighting with words. I'd rather use my fist. Sasuke smirked. He had gotten what he wanted. There is a training area about a mile from here. We could do a lot of talking there if you'd like. Sasuke pointed to Yumi. Bring her too. I want her to see you get your ass kicked. He then poofed away to the training ground. Naruto looked Konohamaru, who was next to him. Protect her when we get to the training ground. Konohamaru was worried for Naruto. He knew that Sasuke was probably the strongest in the village. Naruto-Nisan, I don't think you should fight Sasuke. And why shouldn't I? Naruto asked. Because he's going to be the Rokudame, the teen stated. Naruto became even angrier after that revelation. He just kept thinking about how it was unfair that Sasuke got everything. He had to work hard to get anything, and everything seems to just fall in Sasuke's lap. Sasuke was number 1 in school. Sasuke had the affection of the girl he once cared deeply for. Sasuke was personally trained by their Junin instructor while he was left to rot. Now it seems that Sasuke was going to live the dream, which he wished, deep down, he could live. It was just so unfair. He looked at Konohamaru. Well, I guess you will get to see that my power is on the level of a cage. Meet me there. Naruto poofed to training ground 7. Sasuke was standing in the middle of the clearing. Naruto and Sasuke were staring at each other intently. The power that was radiating off of them was similar to when Orochimaru and Sandaime were fighting. They just stood there looking at each other for 2 minutes. Konohamaru had arrived with Yumi. They were a distance away. Kakashi and those who were at the barbecue shack had felt the immense power and came to check it out. They all landed next to Konohamaru. The Anbu squad came when they felt Sasuke and an unfamiliar power. They surround Naruto. Sasuke spoke to the Anbu squad. Stand down. A man with a bear mask spoke. Sasuke-sama, we have a duty to take in anyone who acts against a shinobi of the leaf. I said to stand down. Don't get involved no matter what happens. He said this while looking at Naruto the whole time. The Anbu squad decided to watch the fight. Tsunade and Jiraiya walked up next to the small group that consisted of ninjas. What is going on here? Tsunade asked. Naruto-Nisan is about to kick Sasuke's ass, Konohamaru replied. Hanabi, who was training with Hinata, had felt the power that came from them earlier. Her and Hinata had arrived in time to hear Konohamaru's proclamation. She decided to comment on what she thought to be a ridicule's comment. You really are a fool, monkey boy. Naruto can't beat Sasuke-sama. He's going to be the Rokudame, no way he loses to him. Naruto looked to his left to see a lot ninjas looking at him and Sasuke. He saw Konohamaru with Yumi. She was the only person he was looking for, however he saw the one person that had broke his heart 6 years ago. His eyes narrowed when she came next to Tsunade. The pink-haired Kunoichi, known as Sakura, has not changed a bit. Granted, she got taller and her wardrobe now Kona beige skirt with black shorts under, and black knee-high sandals. Naruto just smiled. This was the perfect opportunity to beat Sasuke in front Kakashi, Sakura and everyone else. He turned back to Sasuke and was smiling. Sasuke was curious. What are you smiling at, Dobi? Just smiling at how I'm going to show everyone how weak you really are, Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at that statement. Naruto calling Sasuke-chan was one thing, but saying that he was a fag boy was over the line. He shifted into a fighting stance, then show me. With pleasure. Naruto and Sasuke formed hand seals faster than anyone could follow, and they both yelled, Kaiten. Ryuka no Jutsu. A big dragon flew from both their mouth. Both dragons collided and cancelled each other out. No one could see what happened after that due to the dirt blocking their vision. Tsunade was about to stop their battle when Jiraiya grabbed her. Don't get involved. They have some unresolved issues that they need to settle. Just sit back and watch the show. I guarantee that we won't see a fight like this again. Sakura was looking, trying to see what was happening. Neji saw her worry, so he decided to tell her what was happening. They're engaging in a taijutsu match. Neither one is getting the upper hand. When the dust cleared, everyone saw both fighters blocking the other's punches and kicks. Sasuke did a roundhouse kick that sent Naruto into a nearby tree. Everyone was looking on in amazement. Naruto rubbed his jaw. Damn, he's good. I didn't want to do this, but I guess I have no choice. Naruto walked back the clearing where Sasuke stood in his fighting stance. That was a nice kick. But let's stop playing with each other. How about you take off your weights and I take off mine so we can pick up where we left off 6 years ago? Naruto complimented. Sasuke spoke in a mocking tone. You sure that's what you want? When I take off my weights, this fight is going to be more or less over. Just take them off already, Naruto said in bored tone. Both warriors took of their weights. Sasuke took of his wrist, ankle, and vest, which were all weighted. Naruto took off the weight tag that was in his shoes. He also took off the ones that were under his wristbands as well as the one that was under his shirt and his pants. Naruto was ready. Both warriors blurred out of everyone's sight. Kakashi was stunned. Anko spoke. What the hell? Where did they go? They're moving at a high speed. I can follow them but barely. They're exchanging blows. Lee committed. Out of everyone that was there, only Jiraiya and Tsunade saw what exactly was happening. Kakashi, Lee, and Guy were barely keeping up with the speed. Jiraiya, who was looking at the fight intently, smiled. He knew what had just happened. Sasuke had just got kicked in his face. Everyone, except those who could follow the fight, had saw Sasuke fly into a tree. Neji smirked. Looks like the Uchiha is eating dirt. Most of the ninjas that were there couldn't believe what they had just heard. Sasuke was on par with the Godem. When the lot of ninjas and Sasuke fans saw that he was pulling himself out of the little ditch, they were surprised to say the least. Impossible. I never seen anyone who was able to lay a hit on Sasuke-sama, an Anbu guard said. Who does that guy think he is, hurting Sasuke-kun? Said a Chunin fangirl. Yumi looked at the girl. That's my Naruto-kun. This Sasuke of yours can't ever beat my Naruto. Hinata tensed up at what the girl had said. The happiness that she held regarding his return had died there and then. I should have told him how I felt when we were younger. I should have followed my heart and left with him when I saw him leave that day. I just wish that. Her thoughts were cut off by the Anbu man with the frog mask, who looked at Yumi. You mean, Naruto as in the Golden Fox? She looked back at Naruto, who was waiting for Sasuke to pull himself together, the very same. Sasuke finally got up. His lip was bleeding. He wiped the blood away with the back of his hand. He smiled. The dobi got better. No matter, I'm still going to kick his ass. Sasuke did some hand seals. When he was finished, his right hand was holding his left wrist. The Chidori was forming in his left hand. Naruto held out his right hand to form the Rasengan. I held back last time, Sasuke. This time I won't. The promise that I made with Haruno no longer applies. You better come at me with everything you got. Sakura heard Naruto had called her by her clan name instead of her given name. She was hurt, but after what she did to him she couldn't blame him. She just hoped that he and Sasuke didn't get hurt. She looked at Yumi, who had earlier told a Chunin that her Naruto-kun wouldn't lose to Sasuke. She wondered if this girl was Naruto's girlfriend. Sasuke knew that Naruto was serious. He always wondered why Naruto held back, and now he had his answer. It was because of Sakura. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a steely gaze. I plan to do just that. They continued to look each other for a second. When the second that seemed like an eternity ended, they both took off at each other, armed with two of the most fearsome jutsus ever created. Everyone looked on in awe, waiting to see what happened next. Naruto and Sasuke ran at full speed towards one another. The distance, which seemed like a mile, began to close. The sound of 1,000 birds was heard throughout the area. As Sasuke ran forward, the ground underneath his Chidori began to break like glass subjected to a high pitch. Naruto's Rasengan was a perfect orb, with chakra spinning inside of it. Sasuke pulled his arm back. Naruto did the same with his right hand, both preparing to thrust forward their trademark attacks. Both warriors thrust their arms towards one another, and before the jutsus made contact they yelled. Rasengan. Chidori. Both jutsus made contact. There was a big flash of light emitted from the jutsus that caused everyone to squint. When the light died down and both figures were visible, everyone saw both warriors trying to overpower the other. Kakashi was looking on in shock. Jiraiya was wearing a grin, and Sakura looked like she was worried. Sakura was about to say something to Kakashi, but before she could, an explosion had occurred. She quickly turned away from the copy nin to see what happened between Naruto and Sasuke. Both warriors were flying back into the direction they came. Naruto did a flip mid-flight too and landed on his feet. He stood as if nothing had happened. Sasuke did the same. Sasuke was furious that his attack didn't work. He had put everything he had, and it was cancelled out. But that wasn't the thing that made him furious. What really pissed him off was that Naruto was standing there as if he was unfazed by his attack at all. Sasuke thought to himself, how the hell can he stand there and act like that didn't faze him? I know he's hurt. The Dobi is just acting tough. No matter, I'll prove that I'm stronger. Naruto was a little surprised that his attack was equal ground, but he wasn't that surprised since he didn't put everything he had into it. Naruto thought to himself, I should have pumped more chakra into my Rasengan. He wouldn't be standing there all nonchalant. This is going to be so fun, he has no idea that I'm still holding back. Jiraiya wondered why Naruto didn't pump more into his Rasengan. He knew what Naruto was capable of with that technique, and by no chance should the Chidori should have equaled it in power. He spoke his thoughts, Naruto, why didn't you put more power into the Rasengan? Tsunade looked at Jiraiya, you're telling me that he's not going all out? Jiraiya realized that he spoke out loud. He cursed himself for that. He wanted Naruto to surprise them with what he was holding back. To keep the surprise, the Toad Hermit decided to keep his answer short. No, he is not going all out. Everyone's attention turned to Jiraiya. He could sense that everyone was looking at him. Some probably wanted to ask questions. He responded before anyone could question how he knew that Naruto was holding back. Don't we in due time? Naruto looked at Sasuke. He smirked, then he spoke, hey Sasuke, let's take this up a notch. Sasuke gave his infamous smirk, sure let's do that. Sasuke vanished from sight. Naruto's eyes went wide. He didn't even see where Sasuke went until he felt a kick planted on his chin. Naruto was suspended in midair. Sasuke appeared directly behind him. Naruto turned his head slightly to see a smirking Sasuke. From here on out it's all original, the Uchiha stated. Sasuke threw a punch with his left, expecting Naruto to block it. He swung around, making Naruto think he was going to kick with his right leg. He then planted the back of his left hand, which was balled up into a fist into Naruto's face. Naruto was sent hurling to the ground. Sasuke punched him in the stomach with his right hand, and then he followed it with his left. Both punches was followed by Sasuke doing a front flip that landed in Naruto's stomach. Sasuke yelled, Shi Renden. Sasuke bent his body so he could do a backflip. He smiled as he looked at Naruto. Everyone else looked on. Konohamaru, Yumi, and Tsunade looked on in shock. Everyone else seemed to expect this. Hanabi looked at Konohamaru then laughed. You said he was going to kick whose ass? Pathetic, he stood no chance. Konohamaru couldn't say anything. She was right. Naruto was lying before Sasuke beaten. From what he could see, Naruto was passed out. He was hoping that his brother would knock the arrogant Uchiha down a bit. He wasn't the only one. Neji had wanted this too. Jiraiya was cool as a cucumber. He didn't look surprised about what just happened. Jiraiya just smiled. Neji caught on to this. Something wasn't right. He believed the old man knew something. Hinata was hoping that Naruto got back up. No one took notice, but she was glaring at Sasuke. Sasuke stood there triumphant. He began to speak, you have improved Dobi, but I'm still better. Did you really think you were better than me? It's sad your girlfriend had to see this, but you were too weak to do anything. I am your better, know it and understand it. HMPH, the Golden Fox, more like the beaten kit. Still think of me as the dead last I see, a familiar voice stated. Sasuke's eyes went wide. He looked at Naruto who was in a crater. Naruto turned into a huge rock. Sasuke's eyes narrowed out of anger. Naruto had escaped his Shi Renden. Everyone looked behind them to see Naruto standing on a tree branch, arms folded, while leaning on the trunk of the tree. He jumped down and landed behind everyone that was gathered. He walked up to Yumi who was happy that he was okay. He smiled at her then spoke, don't worry, that kick was weak. Anyway, I have to kick everyone's precious Sasuke. Tsunade and Jiraiya laughed at the remark. Neji grinned at it. Lee and Guy's jaw was hanging at what Naruto said. Before Naruto proceeded he stopped and looked at Hanabi with cold eyes. It seems that you were wrong about me. I think it's time I show everyone that Sasuke isn't so great. Since you said I was pathetic, I will leave you with no doubts about my ability after this battle. Naruto turned to look at Jiraiya with a serious look, then he smiled. Ero Sennin, I think it's time I become the feather, don't you think? Jiraiya nodded with a smile. Do what you want, just don't embarrass him too much. Not a prob. Naruto stated. He walked until everyone was at least 10 feet behind him. If looks could kill, then Sasuke glare would have killed Naruto. Naruto just kept on smiling. You're probably wondering how I escaped from the technique you stole from Lee. Well, it wasn't hard. When you brought your foot down to kick me, I shielded my chest area with chakra. Much like how Neji does. I then used a Kawarimi with a nearby rock. And the rest is self-explanatory. Sasuke's eyes remained narrowed at the Kyuubi container. He was pissed that Naruto escaped his Shishi Renden without a scratch. He closed his eyes to calm himself, he then smiled. He still had a few aces up his sleeve, so he shouldn't get too worked up. Sasuke thought to himself, I could use the Mangekyo power. He's fast, my Sharingan doesn't have enough time to effectively counter. Wheel the Mangekyo would help as long as I don't use Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, or Susanoo. With the Mangekyo I would be able to predict his movements better and counter accordingly. The regular Sharingan couldn't keep up with his speed, but these eyes will. Naruto, you should consider yourself lucky, you're the second person who has forced me to use the Mangekyo. He opened his eyes. Naruto wondered what Sasuke had planned. He then realized what happened when Sasuke had opened his eyes to reveal the Mangekyo. Naruto got into a battle stance. His eyes now were directed at Sasuke's feet. Part of Naruto's training with Jiraiya was to prepare him to fight Itachi. He knew how to predict an opponent's movement through their feet. He knew that Sasuke could do what Itachi did to Sasuke so many years ago. Naruto, you're the second person that I have shown these eyes to, you should feel honored. These eyes are more powerful than the regular Sharingan, I hope you're ready to lose, Dobi. Sasuke confidently said. Naruto got into a fighting stance. Naruto took off towards Sasuke. When he prepared to throw a right to Sasuke's face, Naruto found that a foot was placed into his stomach before his punch could connect. Sasuke punched Naruto in the face with his left hand. He stumbled back. Sasuke flipped over Naruto, landing behind him. He then did a roundhouse with his left foot, which connected with Naruto's head. This sent him flying a distance before he hit the ground and skidded a few feet before coming to a stop. Sasuke stood in his fighting stance with an aura of superiority. Naruto got up. His black short-sleeve shirt looked ragged. Smudges of dirt were plastered on his face. Sasuke had smudges of dirt on his face as well. His black long-sleeve Uchiha shirt was tattered, but not as bad as Naruto's. The group of watchers were focused on this high Junin level cage battle. A voice from behind caught everyone's attention. It seems everyone is here. Right, Akamaru? The dog walking besides the boy with gray jacket, black shirt underneath, black shorts that ended 2 inches above his black sandals. Hinata walked up to pet the white dog. So Naruto is fighting Sasuke. Akamaru smelled their presence. I was surprised when I got back from my mission to hear Akamaru tell me that Naruto was here. Kiba spoke to Hinata. She looked at him while petting Akamaru. Yes, Naruto-kun and Uchiha-san are fighting. Hinata turned her head to look at Naruto. Uchiha-san is using the Mangekyo, so I don't know how he plans to win. Hinata commented sadly. Everyone heard noise near the tree Naruto was in a few minutes or so ago. They turned their heads to see Ino and Shikamaru. The two looked like they were fighting. Shikamaru, why are you complaining that I asked you to come with me here? You weren't doing anything but laying in your backyard looking at the sky, Ino stated. Coming here to see Naruto and Sasuke fight doesn't interest me. I'm sure they could have resolved these issues without me being a spectator. Ino just grabbed Shikamaru while she leapt off of the tree onto the ground. They both landed and joined the rest of the ninjas that were watching this battle. Ino looked at Sakura. She wondered what was going through Sakura's mind. Sakura, are you okay? Ino asked. Yes, I'm fine, Sakura answered. Yumi saw Ino standing by Sakura. The last time she saw the girl, she had offered to take her mother to the hot springs to relax. Yumi walked over to Ino, followed by Konohamaru. Excuse me, Ino-san, but do you know where my mother is? Ino took her attention off of Sakura to look at Yumi. Oh, my-san asked that I escort to the hotel. She said she was tired. Yumi smiled at the girl. Thank you, Ino-san. Nara Shikamaru walked up next to Tsunade and Jiraiya. So how is Naruto faring? Shikamaru asked. He doesn't seem to be faring too good. Sasuke just activated his Mangekyo and he has the advantage in speed now. He's beating Naruto to a pulp, Dame pointed out. Sasuke won't have the advantage for long. Jiraiya stated, never taking his eyes off of his student. Everyone who heard what he said turned to face him. Neji looked at the Toad Hermit. Care to clarify? Jiraiya closed his eyes and smiled. He then opened his eyes to face the Hyuga prodigy. Naruto has yet to reveal his true power. Watch, because this fight is about to get real interesting. Kakashi decided to speak to Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama, with all due respect, how do figure Naruto isn't going all out? He looks like he's doing everything he can do to keep up with Sasuke, but he's failing horribly. Jiraiya gave Kakashi a look of disgust. You're like Sarutobi-sensei in many aspects. Always put your time and energy into the student you favored among all the others. You don't know and will never know what Naruto is capable of because everyone believes that it's better to train a genius than someone you would have to actually put effort into training. You ignored him, pushed him to the side so you could focus on Sasuke. Your sensei never did that, Kakashi. He would be disappointed in you. Kakashi put his head down in shame. It was all true. It wasn't that he didn't like Naruto. It's just Kakashi felt that Sasuke would be a better ninja, so he decided to hone his skills instead. Hell, he even helped Sakura work on genjutsu. The only thing he helped Naruto with was his tree climbing exercise. He taught Sasuke Chidori, his prized technique. Sakura couldn't believe what she heard Jiraiya accuse Kakashi of. Sure, Sasuke did get more attention, but that was because he had the Sharingan and Kakashi was the only one in the village who could train him how to use it. Jiraiya-sama, Kakashi-sensei has been fair to all of us. He showed me genjutsu. Granted, he helped Sasuke more, but that's because he had to training him how to use the Sharingan better, the pink-haired Kunoichi stated. Jiraiya looked at her with equal disgust. Yet you didn't mention what he taught Naruto. I'm not surprised, seeing as you spent most of your time focusing on Sasuke, so there's no way you would know if he trained Naruto. Sakura, you should watch this battle more than anyone. In a way, this battle has a lot to do with you. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya with a questioned look. How does this battle involve Sakura? Shikamaru decided to answer. It's because Naruto promised to return Sasuke so Sakura wouldn't hurt anymore. From what you told me. He looked at Ino. Sakura stated that she hated Naruto and she called him a dead last who should have left instead of Sasuke. He looked at Sakura. I was there when he promised that he would bring back a guy who turned on us for power, for your sake. If what Jiraiya-sama says about Naruto is correct, then you more than anyone should watch this fight. Tsunade looked Shikamaru. You only answered my question halfway. How does this involve Sakura and why should she watch? The shadow user turned to look at Tsunade with a lazy expression. I was going to answer, but it's too troublesome to explain. Tsunade gritted her teeth. Why, you little? Neji spoke before the Hokage could pound the Nara. It's obvious. Everyone turned to face Neji. Neji continued once he had everyone's attention. I was also there when Naruto made her that promise. The reason this battle has to do with Sakura is because Naruto wants to prove a point to her. And what point is he trying to get across? Ino asked. All of his life he was behind Sasuke. Everyone seems to love Sasuke and hate Naruto. He's been fighting all his life to be accepted, but to no avail. This village has never accepted him. Naruto cared deeply for Sakura. He would have gone to hell and back for her. If I know Naruto, he's going to show Sakura that he is stronger than Sasuke and not the dead last she called him. Neji turned to face Sakura. In a sick way, he's still trying to prove himself to you. Everyone turned around when they heard Naruto crash into the ground. Naruto's shirt had rips in it. Blood was coming from his lip. He picked himself up. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Naruto, give up. You can't win. You can't keep up with me. There is no way you could win. Sasuke said to his blonde opponent with confidence. Naruto wiped the blood from his mouth. He smiled at what Sasuke said. You're right about one thing. I can't win. Not in my current state, at least. I wasn't expecting to do this, Sasuke, but you left me no choice. Naruto spread his legs apart until he was crouching down. His arms came together to form an X. His index finger and middle finger were the only fingers extended on both hands. Purple surrounded Naruto's body. All over his body, purple seals that looked like tattoos covered his body. All those who were looking at the fight was curious to what Naruto was doing. Only a select few knew what those seals actually meant. Tsunade's eyes were wide in shock. The same could be said for Kakashi and Guy. There's no way, but how, I thought. Guy tried to form a sentence. Kakashi couldn't even answer, he was speechless. So this is what Jiraiya was talking about. I hope Sasuke has a plan, because the Mangekyo isn't going to be enough. The copy nin thought to himself. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya. Those seals, Jiraiya. Those are gravity seals, right? He nodded his head to confirm the question Tsunade had asked. Ino was confused by the whole ordeal. Excuse me, but what are gravity seals? Guy spoke. It's no surprise. No one has used them in over 20 years. Gravity seals are seals that are placed on the body. A seal master paints them on the person who requests to have them, or if the person is a seal master, he can draw the seals on the visible part of his body. Seeing as Naruto has it all over his back, a seal master did the procedure for him. To answer your question, gravity seals are like weights but much better. Using a hand seal, that's formatted to the seals, a person could increase the gravity of the seals. They affect the whole body, whereas the weights that Lee and I wear only targets certain muscles. Imagine this if you will. If the gravity was to elevate, it would feel heavier, making it harder to move as fast we normally would. Doing this constantly, you would get used to the gravity until it felt normal to you. Now going back to the gravity before adapting to the gravity of the seal, your strength and speed would increase exponentially. Kakashi got over his shock. The last person who was capable of creating a gravity seal was the fourth. Well, he was the last person in this village anyway. He turned to Jiraiya, who created the seals for Naruto. Tsunade answered, judging by the design it was Hoedo Naya, White Diamond. Guy's eyes went wide. Really, Kurenai was clueless. She had no idea who they were talking about. Guy, who is this Hoedo Naya? Fuza no Okami, the seal mistress. I think that's how you say it, Guy said. Kurenai's eyes went wide. She knew the reputation of the seal mistress. Almost every ninja in her age group and up knew about the seal mistress. Her skills at seals were comparable to Tsunade's skills at medicine. Kurenai looked back at the fight. He didn't even go all out on us. He was playing with us the whole time. This kid has come a long way. Lee looked at Guy with enthusiasm. Guy-sensei, do you think that she can place those seals on me? Sorry Lee, but I have no idea where she is. She disappeared 20 years ago and no one knows where to. But don't worry Lee. We will have to increase your weights. He gave the nice guy pose. Lee was on the verge of tears. Guy-sensei, Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Tsunade cut the two men, who were embracing one another in hug. Jiraiya, did you take Naruto to see Naya? No, Naruto had the seals done while he was with Saichi Kato. It seems Kato and Naya are good friends. I even asked Naruto where she was, but he told me that part of their deal for giving him the gravity seals was to never reveal her location. All I can tell you is that those gravity seals are different than what we were used to seeing. How so? Tsunade asked. Well, for one, the gravity seals were used painted on and had to have a mark where it withdrew from. Much like the curse seal. The difference is that this seal doesn't have a mark of origin. Instead, the marks aren't visible. They're only visible because Naruto has deactivated them, and in a minute they'll fade to match his complexion. When he activates them again, the purple marks will appear again, but they will fade all the same. You only see the marks when he activates and deactivates the seals. So as Jiraiya had finishing explaining how the seal worked, Naruto's seals disappeared. Jiraiya continued to watch Naruto finish the process of releasing the seals. The process is complete. Naruto, who was glowing purple, positioned himself to stand upright again. The purple glow had receded, as well as the seals. Naruto went through hand seals faster than anyone could see. Doro Numa no Justu. Sasuke jumped in the air when he realized the hand seals Naruto was forming. Sasuke was in the air looking at Naruto. In an instant Naruto vanished from his sight. You certainly move fast when you're in danger. Sasuke heard a voice from behind him. He was shocked at the speed Naruto moved at. Not even his Mangekyo, the ultimate Dujutsu, could follow his current speed. Naruto did a roundhouse kick, sending Sasuke to the ground. Sasuke landed only to be kicked in his back. He skid to a stop face first. Sasuke picked himself up off of the ground. Naruto charged at the Uchiha. Sasuke blocked the first punch, but was unsuccessful blocking the next 7. He was lifted in the air by an uppercut, landing on his back. Sasuke got up again. This time his eyes showed how enraged he was. He calmed down then spoke, "So you're using a seal now to increase your powers. It won't matter, I will still beat you." "I am using a seal, but it doesn't give me power. The seals you saw on me were gravity seals. They were activated when we were fighting earlier. I deactivated them because I couldn't keep up with your speed with them on. Just think of them as training weights but only better," Naruto clarified. Sasuke's eyes opened more than usual. "Then you mean to tell me that?" Naruto grinned. "Correct. This here is my true speed and power. No curse seal, no alternative power source, no blood limit, no nothing. It's all me." Sasuke couldn't believe that the Dobi surpassed him. His speed was nothing short of amazing, but he would never admit that to Naruto. Sasuke had one option, but he knew that it would be taxing on his chakra. He hated to admit to himself, but Naruto had outclassed him. "Damn! How did this happen? I defeated Itachi and Orochimaru and now Naruto stands before me stronger than them both. I have to use it. Susanoo will give me the power and the speed to match him." Sasuke smiled, a genuine smile at Naruto. "Why should I be mad? He did this fair and square. I hate to say it, Dobi, but you've earned it. Let's see if he'll go for this." "Put it on, Naruto," Sasuke said with no malice or hate. "Put what on? I have no idea what you're talking about." Naruto knew what Sasuke was talking about, but why did he ask him to do this? Naruto put on the headband. "We did fight as equals back then. We shall do so again now, so please put the headband on." "I know you have it," Sasuke stated. It was true. Naruto had the headband in his kunai pouch. Naruto smiled at Sasuke. "I guess it's appropriate that I wear a headband illustrating that I no longer hold ideals of the leaf. I don't know why you're asking me to do this." He proceeds to wrap Sasuke's headband around his head. "Because, you're strong." Sasuke gave Naruto a serious look, "And you once said that the headband represents we fight on equal ground. I know you were conscious when you knocked me out last time. Why didn't you kill me?" Naruto asked. "Killing my best friend is something I could never do. I'm not my brother, I would never kill you for power," Sasuke answered truthfully. Naruto became enraged. "Best friend? What best friend you know shoves a Chidori through his best friend's chest, huh?" All of the spectators couldn't believe what they just heard, especially Kakashi and Sakura. Kakashi couldn't believe because he taught Sasuke the move to protect his friends, and Sakura couldn't believe that Sasuke would do that to Naruto. But she couldn't be mad, since what she did was no better. It may not have been physically painful, but it was all the same to Naruto. Naruto calmed himself, and then continued, "You know, Kakashi did teach something that I am grateful to have learned. He taught me what a friend is, even if he never was really a friend to me. He once said to us, in the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum. That's true. But those abandon their friends are worse than scum. Sasuke, you are scum, along with Kakashi and Sakura. I thought of you all as friends, but I doubt the feeling was mutual. You have no idea what it is to be a friend, Sasuke. I really hoped that things were different between us, but as they stand there is nothing left for us but to fight." Taking a fighting stand, he smiled at Sasuke. "Don't hold back." Sasuke was still smiling. "I don't intend to." Sasuke's Mangekyo started to glow red. A strange aura, the color of the ocean, surrounded his body. Naruto smiled as he felt the aura coming off of Sasuke. Sasuke was smiling too. He was finally able to go all out. He hadn't done so since his bout with Itachi. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade. He shoved a Chidori through Naruto's chest. "I'm guessing you didn't know until now. The fox must have healed him before he came back to the village." His words echoed so only her ears could hear. "Yes, it seems so." Tsunade's eyes were glued on the two fighters on the battlefield while answering. Yumi hadn't noticed Jiraiya there. She walked up to him. "Hello Ero Sennin, how have you been?" Jiraiya was cursing Naruto for rubbing off on her in his head. "I'm fine. Sayumi. Tsunade told me that your mother was here. Where is she now?" "She's at the hotel." "Ero Sennin, stay away from my mother. I know what you have in mind." She glared at the pervert. Putting his hands in his defense, "No, it's nothing like that, it's just that we had good time talking last time I seen her, that's all." Jiraiya thought to himself. "Plus she gave some good ideas for my last book. I got to pick her brain for more ideas. That book was my bestseller. With a look of worry, Yumi looked at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, that guy is glowing. Do you think that Naruto will be okay? Naruto-Nissan is going to be fine. You see his speed, it's on a whole new level. He's going to be fine, Yumi-Nichan. Konohamaru assured the worried girl. Sasuke could feel the power coursing through his veins. The power he felt was unreal. Sasuke looked at both of his hand, both had the ocean color aura around it. The Uchiha looked back at Naruto, and then in a split second he vanished. He appeared directly behind Naruto. He aimed a kick with right leg for the right side of Naruto's head. The kick never connected. Naruto blocked with his right arm. He then pivoted 180 degrees to plant his left fist in Sasuke's gut. This was blocked. Naruto threw right to Sasuke's face. He barely blocked it. The kick that followed wasn't blocked. He took the hit in his face. This sent him up in the air, but he backed flip to land. Naruto vanished from everyone's sight, except Sasuke and a few others. He knew Naruto was about 10 yards to the left him. He caught him performing seals, and then he stopped. Sasuke knew by the seals Naruto had formed he was going to fire water bullets at him. Sweden. Kiritama no Jutsu, were the words that Naruto whispered to himself when water, in the form of bullets, shot out of his mouth. All of the projectiles were aiming for Sasuke. Sasuke jumped in the air to avoid the bullets of water that impacted the area ground where he once stood. The only Uchiha clan member went through hand seals of his own. Kaden. Hosenka no Jutsu. The fireballs were on their way to Naruto. Before they made contact, Mizu no Tate, after shouted out his technique, his body was encapsulated with water. The fireballs died out as soon as they hit Naruto back on the ground. The blue aura was still surrounding his body. When Naruto dropped his shield, the Uchiha was preparing another technique, Raiko Degeki. Naruto found himself dodging lightning coming from the sky that was aimed at him. Damn these lightning strikes, if my gravity seals were still activated I'd be done for. Naruto kept dodging until the technique died down. He was panting, due to the speed at which he had to dodge. You seem tired, don't tell me that's all you have. The Uchiha stated, taunting his opponent. Nope, not at all. Naruto moved too fast for almost everyone to see. He appeared in front of Sasuke. He threw a punch, which the Mangekyo wielder blocked. Both ninjas exchanged blows that were cancelled out by the other. This continued for 2 more minutes until Naruto started to notice something. Is it just me, or is Sasuke slowing down? As realization dawned on Naruto, he realized what was happening. This technique he's using to enhance his speed and power uses up a whole lot of chakra. That's why every blow that I countered was aimed at areas to knock me out. He's trying to finish it. He knows that my speed and power is my own, so when his technique dies out he won't be able to keep up. Sorry Sasuke, but I figured out how this technique operates. You won't be winning today. Naruto tilted his head to the left to avoid a punch. He then countered with left to the gut, a right to the face, and a roundhouse with his right that sent Sasuke to the ground. Sasuke wiped off the blood that was coming from his mouth. He then stood up again. Naruto was watching Sasuke closely. He wondered if Sasuke realized yet that this battle was over. He knew Sasuke would never admit it, but deep down he believed that he had to know. Sasuke, this fight is over. You can't beat me. Naruto said this without showing any emotions. That technique can only be used when you activate the Mangekyo, correct? He asked the question more so to himself than to Sasuke. Naruto continued to give his analysis. I see that it eats away at your chakra, which means that the technique was designed to be used to end a fight quickly. The technique was ineffective against me because my speed and power matches the power boost that you got from that technique. But unlike your technique, which seems to be fizzling out as we speak, my natural attributes won't fade. The blue aura covering Sasuke began to fade until it was completely gone. The Mangekyo Sharingan disappeared, revealing his onyx eyes. Sasuke knew that if he didn't think of something fast then this fight was over. What should I do? If I use Amaterasu then I will drain a significant portion of my chakra. If I use the curse seal in conjunction with the Mangekyo then, no he's still not using that power that he used in our last fight. If I use that now and exhaust myself, then he could call forth that red chakra and win this fight. A thought came to him. I got it, I'll use. His train of thought was cut off by a kick to the face. Naruto continued the assault on his former teammate. Sasuke was defenseless to stop him. Naruto was moving so fast that he couldn't manage time to block. Naruto was picking the Uchiha apart. The most people in the crowd couldn't believe what they were seeing. Sasuke, who is in line to be the next Rokudame, was getting beat senseless. Hell yeah! Go Naruto! Kick that POMPUS Uchiha's ass! Kiba shouted, pumping his fist. Rubbing his ears, Shikamaru tried to recover from Kiba's loud cheers. Kiba, could you be any louder? Naruto is winning, it's pointless yelling. Come on Shikamaru, you can't tell me you're not enjoying this. Kiba said this while having his hand around the shadow user. Shikamaru broke free of the embrace. He then shrugged. I'm only here because Ino felt two immense chakras. I was actually watching the sunset, but the sun is setting and it looks like I won't be doing what I intend to do. Why didn't you just tell her you didn't feel like coming? Neji asked. It would have been so goddamn troublesome to argue with Ino. She would have kept nagging until I said yes. So to avoid her arguing I decided to come. She's more troublesome than my mom. Ino had overheard what Shikamaru had said. She was not happy to say the least. She balled her fist and planted it into Shikamaru's head. He was now face first in the dirt. Shikamaru, how dare you call me a nag? If you weren't such a lazy person no one would have to force you to do things. Another thing, how dare you? Shikamaru rolled on his back to look at the setting sun. Note to self. Keep your mouth shut, it's less troublesome in the long run. Naruto was attacking Sasuke with a barrage of kicks and punches. Naruto flipped over Sasuke. When he landed, he quickly did a back flip kick. Sasuke went in 2 feet off of the ground before landing on his back. Naruto resumed his fighting stance. Sasuke got back up off of the ground. His eyes were fixed on Naruto's. Keep him focused on my eyes. That's it Naruto, and, now. Sasuke activated his Sharingan, so after it went into its Mangekyo form. Naruto had no time to react, he found himself in one Sasuke's ultimate techniques. Naruto looked around. The sky was red, every object he could see was black. He looked at his hands to see it was black as well. Where the hell am I? You're in the world of Tsukiyomi. This is the ultimate genjutsu, there is no escape. I control everything here. Sasuke's voice echoed through world of Tsukiyomi. Naruto was looking around. Suddenly, he saw Iruka in front of him dead. Naruto let a tear fall from his eye. He then heard a familiar voice scream. He ran in the direction of the voice. He saw Yumi tied to a pole. When he tried to run to free her, he was frozen in place. He found himself tied to a cross. All he could do was watch as Sasuke appeared in front of him. I control everything in here Naruto. Sasuke then turned to Yumi, and I control her life as well. Sasuke walked up to Yumi and placed the sword that he held at her throat. Please, don't. Naruto pleaded. Sasuke gave an evil grin before he slit her throat. Sasuke appeared in front of Naruto. He pointed the spot where he just slit Yumi's throat. Her dead form faded, and then she reappeared again. You will watch me kill her over and over for the next 72 hours. Also, 100 of Sasuke's appeared in front of Naruto. I will be impaling you with shurikens. All the Sasukes threw the shurikens, all hit Naruto who screamed as they made contact. It's only an illusion but this pain is real. Damn, how can I break this jutsu? Naruto, who was bleeding all over, smirked at Sasuke. Fox, free me from this damn illusion. Naruto hated asking the fox for favors, but the fox wasn't that bad. Well, he started getting better when Naruto became strong. He stopped calling him a weak container. So you finally want my help? You haven't asked for my help in 6 years. Ironically, it was to fight this idiot. Just break this jutsu. If I had experienced this technique before I would have tried to develop a counter for it. Besides, I know you want to see me kick his ass. Naruto said to the fox. This is pretty good technique, for a human. It is very hard, near impossible for humans to counter. I will break this technique because I refuse for people to see my container as weak, the fox stated. Ah, it kinda sounds like you're worried about me. I didn't know that the king of all yokai could care for a lowly human, Naruto said sarcastically. The Kyuubi growled, damn you Yondaime. I wish I was free from this prison. If I were free, I doubt you would talk to me in such a manner. If I was free I would feast on your corpse, I would. God damn it, just break the technique. I'm tired of hearing you would eat me if you were free. Say something new, you damn fox. Muhahahaha, you got guts, kid, I'll give you that. Okay, let me break this pathetic technique of this bastard. Sasuke, wondering why Naruto was smirking at him. Didn't he know that there was no escape from this technique? Sasuke was about to say something when Yumi disappeared. All of copies of himself. Sasuke looked at Naruto. What's going on? Smirking. I'm breaking this jutsu, that's what's going on. Sasuke tried to control this world to no avail. Sasuke started to feel hot. The world around him started to burn. Flames were everywhere. He couldn't move, he was trapped in the fire. He felt the flames burn his skin. Naruto vanished from his post and all Sasuke remembered was screaming. Naruto dropped to one knee, gasping for air. Sasuke clutched his head, and then dropped to his knees the floor. Panting, he looked at Naruto with shock in his eyes. What the hell are you? Still panting, he smiled, the one who's going to kick your ass. I must admit that was the best genjutsu ever. But I have aces up my sleeve as well. Both warriors, who were about 10 yards away from one another, stood on their feet. Naruto was feeling the mental effects of Tsukiyomi and Sasuke was feeling pain all over. Sasuke activated his Mangekyo Sharingan again. It had faded as soon as his technique was broken. Kurenai, who specialized in genjutsu, knew that it was impossible to counter that technique. Tsukiyomi was the ultimate genjutsu. How in the hell did he counter that technique? By all accounts he should not be fighting. He should be in a coma. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it, was all Kakashi could say. Asuma's cigarette was already on the ground. He was watching the fight without saying a word to anyone because he was speechless. Now speechless was an understatement. Anko couldn't grasp how he did it. Neji was curious as well, but he didn't expect anything less from Naruto. If one thing is for sure, it's that Naruto is full of surprises. Hanabi was watching in utter shock. She couldn't believe that someone was not only standing toe-to-toe with Sasuke, but the said person was winning. Talk about shock to the system. She looked at Konohamaru and frowned. He was going to prove her wrong for once. She hated being proven wrong. The Uchiha did the hand seals necessary. His right hand was now clutching his left wrist. Electricity was visible in his left hand that was palm side down. A ring of chakra was on the ground. He stood in the middle. Naruto wasted no time forming his Rasengan. This Rasengan was different from his usual Rasengan. The inside became more royal blue, while the outside was the color of his chakra. This time he would put as much power as possible. One thing that both ninjas knew was certain was that this attack would decide the battle. Guy looked at Kakashi. It seems that he's going to use Reikari. Looks like he's going to go all out. Who do you think will win? I don't know, both techniques are powerful. We'll see in few minutes, I'm sure. Naruto and Sasuke held their gazes on one another. Naruto, it seems we're back to where finished our last battle. Let's see if your Rasengan can stand up to my Reikari. The Uchiha stated. This ends now, Sasuke, it's time we settle the score, he said in a serious manner. Both warriors took off. They were running toward the end of the battle. Sasuke and Naruto were closing the distance that separated them. When they finally got within reaching distance, they readied their techniques to make contact. Naruto and Sasuke looked in each other's eyes. Odama Rasengan. Reikari. Both techniques collided. Everything went white. The whiteness enveloped the landscape, taking the vision of all who were looking at the fight. When the light died down, there was a crater where both fighters had collided. Instincts took over. Sakura and Yumi both ran to the crater. Everyone followed suit. Yumi and Sakura arrived at the crater at the same time. Their eyes widened at the sight before them. Everyone reached the crater as well. The same expression came across their face when they looked inside of the crater. Inside the crater, Naruto stood over an unconscious Sasuke. His eyes were focused on the Sharingan wielder. Naruto then untied the headband around his head. He placed the headband on Sasuke's chest, then picked him up bridal style. He walked towards the crowd. When he got near Sakura and Kakashi, he laid Sasuke down. Don't worry, Kakashi. I didn't kill your prized student. I just knocked him out. He should wake in an hour or so, he said, void of emotions. He cringed when he didn't add the sensei. With the exception of Jiraiya, they looked at him in shock, but he ignored it. He walked past everyone and went straight to Yumi, who was next to Konohamaru. I think we should get some rest. Let's head back to the hotel. Yumi looked at him. He had cuts and scrapes all over his body. Sakura walked up to Naruto and smiled. Naruto, you're injured, let me heal you. Sakura went to place her hands above his arm to heal the cut, but he slapped it away. He turned away, walked off. Sakura looked as his back moved away from her. Naruto, please let me heal you. He stopped and turned around. He looked at Ino. If memory serves me right, Ino, didn't Haruno tell me never to speak to her again? He finally turned his gaze to Sakura. The only reason you want to help me now is because you feel guilty. I don't need your help. As far as I'm concerned, you're dead to me. Sakura felt as if a knife went into her heart. His words stung her. Tears were swelling up in her eyes. Naruto gave a smirk. Did my words hurt you? I'm glad now you understand how I felt. Sakura, you're pathetic. Tears slid down her cheek. Naruto, we were friends, why would you say such a hurtful thing? He spoke once more. Sakura, let's get one thing straight, you and I were never friends. I only had a few people that I could call friends in this village. You treated me badly whenever I tried to be friends with you. Whenever Sasuke and I argued, you would take his side. I did everything I could to prove that I was worthy of your friendship. I even protected you and this village from Gaara. Still everyone hated me. If it wasn't for me, he pointed at Tsunade, she wouldn't be Hokage of this village. Hell, if it wasn't for me, he pointed at Kakashi, Zabuza would have killed him. He paused for a second. Sakura, don't ever speak to me again. Maybe I should have let Gaara kill you, since you're so pathetic. Kakashi came to her defense. Naruto, that's enough. You've gone too far. Naruto glared at the man with the mask. It's just like Hitaki to protect his two precious students. I don't see how this involves you, so stay out of this scum. Kakashi gritted his teeth under his mask. Naruto smiled, knowing he got a rise out him. What, did I say something that pissed of the great Hitaki off? It must have been when I called you scum. Don't get mad, I call it like I see it. How do you figure that I'm scum, Naruto? He asked in a normal, calm facade. You consider people who abandoning their friends and comrades are scum, right? I guess it goes without saying, he calmly replied. Naruto spoke once more. You abandoned me to train Sasuke during the Chunin exams, when I asked for your help. You taught him in Sakura, but whenever I asked for your help you would say that my chakra control was horrible. Not once did you recommend something that would help gain better chakra control. How does it feel to have your best student beaten by the one you considered to be your worst? He looked at the Anbu members and the Chunin and Junin fangirls. This is the guy you worship? Is this your Rokudame? He couldn't even beat me and you expect him to protect the village? The Anbu members and the fangirl kunoichis were fuming. He then turned his gaze to Tsunade. Your successor sucks. So, do you believe I'm worth the $90 million Ryu since I beat the soon-to-be Rokudame? Naruto looked at all the female kunoichis swooning over Sasuke. He knew no matter what he did Sasuke would always have their respect. He proved that he had the strength to be Hokage, but he would never have the title. He knew that this village would never accept him no matter what. Sometimes he wondered why he didn't start his own village. He stored that thought, he might do that. Hey Hitaki, when he wakes up ask him how does feel to lose to the dead last. Also, how does it feel to know that Naruto was taunting Kakashi? Naruto, stop acting like an ass and stop being mean. Yumi said slightly mad at him. For the first time, Naruto looked at Yumi with hate in his eyes. You only know them for a minute and you take up for them? They treat me like crap and it's okay, but I speak how I feel and I'm an ass. No Yumi, you're an ass for taking up for these people who probably want you dead just for being associated with me. Naruto turned around and stormed off, leaving Yumi shocked. Where are you going, Naruto? The concerned girlfriend asked. What does it matter? The words escaped his mouth in a sad tone. She turned to Jiraiya. Why is he acting like this? I never once saw him belittle someone. He always encouraged others to do their best. The Toad Hermit decided to answer. Many people in this village hate Naruto. I'm sure you know why, but we won't talk about that here. This village has done nothing to help him or make him believe in himself. True, he could have decided not to taunt everyone here, but to understand why he acts this way to most of the people here you will have to ask Naruto, Yumi. It's simple, when a person gives all they have to others and gets nothing in return, it's only natural they become cold and bitter to those they have given their all to. Everyone turned around to hear the unknown stranger speak. With his mini afro, black jacket, black pants, and black sandals, Shino had gained the attention of everyone. Tsunade looked at Sasuke. Kakashi, take Sasuke home, and everyone else go about your business. Everyone started to walk off. Konohamaru walked up to Yumi. Let me walk you back to the hotel, Yumi Nichan. Don't worry, Naruto Nisan is going to be okay. Yumi looked up and smiled. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Yumi and Konohamaru walked into the direction of the hotel. Shikamaru still was lying on the ground. The moon looks nice from here. Maybe I should get home. He thought it over for a second. On second thought, I think I'll wait here for a while. I already dealt with one troublesome woman today. I don't need to hear my mom bitch about me being lazy. I don't know how my dad does it. Being whipped is so troublesome. The lazy Junin continued to look at the moon and the stars in the sky. On top of the Hokage monument, sat a lone young man who was looking off into the night sky. Sitting on the head of the fourth Hokage, Naruto sat deep in thought. Naruto thought about Yumi, and what he said to her. Realizing what he said to her, he sighed. He also was aware of the fact that the council and everyone else in the village were going to hate him for what he did to their precious Sasuke-kun. No matter what he did for Konoha, he would always be seen as the demon. His thoughts also flashed back to his dream to become Hokage, or rather his former dream. He clenched his dirt-smudged fist. Everything he ever tried to work for, Sasuke seemed to get without trying. He hated to admit to himself, but he was jealous of Sasuke. His thoughts drifted to when he first met Konohamaru. He remembered what he told the boy all those years ago. He remembered looking at Sandame's grandson in the eyes and saying, "There are no shortcuts." Oh, how true that was. For all the strength that he possesses, he had to work hard to obtain it. Sasuke had the Sharingan and could copy everything. He himself, on the other hand, trained his body to the brink. Maybe that's why Kakashi trained Sasuke instead. He didn't really have to teach, Naruto wondered. I knew you would be up here. The perverted hermit spoke, breaking his concentration. Naruto looked up to see his sensei giving him a warm smile. What do you want, Ero Sennin? The blonde questioned. He was now looking at his sensei with a look that gave off no emotion. To see how you were doing. Jiraiya answered. Jiraiya may not have been able to see the emotion on Naruto's face, but he knew that if he was on the monument then he was sad. This was one of the few places that Naruto went when he was sad. Jiraiya knew this after watching Naruto a few times. Naruto, you can't lie to me. I know you're probably a bit angry, but what you said to Sakura and Kakashi was wrong. Naruto's eyes showed fury. He thought he was coming up here to talk to him about anything, but never did he think it was about his treatment to those two. If he had said Yumi, then he would not have gotten angry, but to say those two and expect him not to feel what he felt was absurd to him. Just when I thought you were here to talk to me about Yumi or something else, you bring up Kakashi and Haruno. Every time I speak how I feel, it's a problem, but others can speak to me anyway they feel and get away with it. Tough luck. If I hurt anyone's feelings, I don't give a crap. Naruto spat out in anger-filled tone. Jiraiya spoke. So you don't care if you hurt Yumi? Naruto's anger died down immediately. Naruto knew he was wrong for yelling at her, but he was just mad. Jiraiya just gave sigh. Look, Naruto, I'm not here to tell you to apologize to anyone. That decision is solely on you. But I will say this. Grow up, Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened at what his teacher said, and then they narrowed just as quickly as they widened. Grow up? I grew up as soon as the woman I saw as the only mother I ever had kicked me out of the village. I grew up when the girl I gave my all to please saw me as nothing more than an annoyance. I grew up when my friend shoved a Chidori through my chest. I grew up when my sensei refused to train me to train another student. I grew up when the day my dream was killed. I grew when I finally realized that no matter what I did for this village, they would always see as nothing more than the demon that destroyed their families. Now you stand here and tell me to grow up? I've grown up, so don't stand there and say something like that to me. Jiraiya's eyes never broke contact with his student. Naruto, you have grown up into a strong, brave, and decent human being. I never doubted that you have grown up, but you haven't grown up enough to put the past behind you. Naruto's eyes fixed on the ground. Why should I put the past behind me? The past is a part of who I am. He pointed to the village. They can't seem to put the past behind them, so why should I? Naruto looked at Jiraiya, searching for the answer as if it was in the hermit's eyes. Jiraiya placed a hand on his student's shoulder then smiled, because Naruto, you're better than them. I've watched you grow from an annoying, overconfident, loud-mouthed brat, into an annoying, overconfident, loud-mouthed young man. A young man that I'm proud of. Naruto smiled. He always thought of Jiraiya as a grandfather, so for him to say that he was proud of him made the blonde boy feel happy. Naruto's smile quickly turned into a look of sadness. I'm glad that you're proud of me, but how do I put the past behind me when it hurts so much? He just shrugged his shoulders. Honestly, I don't know, Naruto. However, I do know that hate will not change anything. Naruto, the past is the past, so don't let it hurt you. Look towards the future now. You have Yumi now. Doesn't the future look better than the past? Also, you proved to everyone one is this village who called you a monster and a dead last wrong. You beat their Uchiha, and when you did get strong enough you didn't take out your aggressions on them. So I know you could leave the past in the past. That's why you are better than them. Naruto looked towards the stars in the sky. He was contemplating on everything that Jiraiya had told him. He was right, Naruto didn't grow up enough to put the past behind him. Also, he had Yumi, and that was a gift from God in his eyes. He knew that his future no longer lied in Konoha, but he did have a few people here that cared for him. That was enough. So he made a resolution to just let it go. Everything would start off with a clean slate, as far as Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke was concerned. He would no longer hold grudges because he was better than that. He looked back at Jiraiya. You're right, Sennin, I am better than them. I will put the past behind me. From this start with a new slate with everyone. Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke, even Oba-chan. I won't hold a grudge, because in the end it was I who turned out for the better. I given my word and I never go back on my word, because that is my nindo. Thanks Sennin for making me see what I should have seen all along. Who would have thought a perverted old man could be so wise? Well, I do have my moments. Anyway, I think you should go talk to Tsunade. He dropped the smile and gave Naruto a look to illustrate his seriousness. You should know that she didn't want to banish you. I know she didn't want to, but it just hurt. I know she has obligations as Hokage, but I just wished she was there for me. The council was against me from day one. They saw their chance to get rid of me and they did. Naruto said. Jiraiya continued looking into his student's eyes. Naruto, be careful. The council is against you. Even though the Hokage has the most power, her power is not absolute. If everyone on the council comes together, then they can overthrow even her rule. They will band together and try to send you on suicide missions. So Naruto, be careful. Naruto took it all in. You're probably right. It did seem that everyone was against me in that meeting besides Oba-chan. I know they probably are trying to kill two birds with one stone. They're hoping that I can help end this war and die in the process. Well, I'm going to take everything that they will and can throw at me. Jiraiya smiled at his student's comments. He knew how the council members hated Naruto. He knew that as soon as they get the chance they would send him into a suicide mission, or at least it would be for anyone else. They're going to be disappointed when he completes every mission that they throw at him. He broke free from his train of thought. Naruto, it's getting late, maybe you should go to your hotel room. Naruto nodded in agreement. I probably should. Yumi is going to be worried sick. I just hope she didn't tell Mai-san. The last thing I need is her screaming at me. So Sennin, where are you going? Jiraiya gave his student a cheesy smile. I'm going to continue my research. I'll see you before you leave for your mission tomorrow, later. Naruto frowned at his sensei's actions. Perverted hermit, going to a whorehouse isn't research, it's just you getting pleasure. Naruto shook his head at the thought of Jiraiya and some poor lady. He then headed back to the town below. Before he went to the hotel, he had to do something else. Uchiha District. Naruto had walked in the Uchiha District. When he was young, he remembers it being full of life. As it stands today, it is nothing more than an eerie ghost town. Naruto walked to the house that housed the only member of the Uchiha clan. Sasuke was sitting in his living room with Kakashi and Sakura. Sakura followed Kakashi to make sure that Sasuke was okay. Sasuke, on the other hand, was deep in thought. He couldn't fathom that Naruto had beaten him. Not only that, but Naruto had rendered Tsukiyomi useless. Just how strong are you, Naruto? This question ran through Sasuke's head until the sound of the door broke his concentration. Sasuke went to answer the door. He was surprised at who was standing before him. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Can I come in? We need to talk? Sasuke thought about it for a minute. Should he let him in or should he just slam the door in his face? Sasuke decided to let Naruto in. Naruto entered the house to see Sakura and Kakashi standing in the living room. Kakashi and Sakura looked at Naruto, clearly curious as to why he was there. Naruto decided to speak. "Great, you're all here. I won't have to track you two down." Kakashi wondered what Naruto wanted. "Naruto, do you wish to say something that we all should hear?" He shook his head, yes. He took a deep breath before continuing. "I'm just here to say that I'm sorry. Kakashi, I didn't mean what I said to you. Well, I did, but I'm sorry about it." He then looked at Sakura. "Look, Sakura, I know what I said was wrong and maybe I shouldn't have said it, but I only said it because I was angry. I don't wish death on no one and it was wrong to wish it on you." Sakura smiled a genuine smile. She then walked up to the taller blonde. "Naruto, it is I who should be apologizing to you. You were right about saying that I wasn't a good friend to you. You did more than I could ask any friend to do. What I said all those years was wrong and I truly am sorry. Please forgive me." Naruto looked at Sakura. "Sakura, I forgive but I will never forget." He looked at Kakashi. Then Sasuke before placing his eyes back on Sakura. "Although I may never forget, that doesn't mean we can't start fresh. From this day forth we're going to wipe the slate clean. What do you say?" Tears slid down the pink kunoichi eyes. She immediately rushed and hugged Naruto. "Naruto, I don't know why you're doing this when you have every right to hate me, but I promise that I will try to be a good friend." Sakura let Naruto go to wipe her eye dry. Naruto then turned to Sasuke. "I hope we can put the past behind us, Sasuke?" Sasuke, who was leaning on the wall by the door, nodded. "Sure, I guess we could do that." Naruto then turned to Kakashi. "Is this okay with you?" The copy nin smiled behind his mask. "Sure, Naruto, it sounds perfect." Naruto looked at Sasuke. "Well, I better head back to the hotel. We have a mission tomorrow and I'm getting tired." Sasuke opened the door as Naruto walked towards to head to the hotel. When Naruto was at the end of the walkway, Sakura screamed out, "Naruto!" Sakura yelled. He turned to look at her. She was smiling at the blonde ninja. "Thank you." Naruto gave her a slight nod then continued to the hotel. Ero Sennin was right. No need to hold grudges because I am better than that. Naruto arrived at the hotel 10 minutes later. Naruto was walking to his room when he saw Jiraiya coming out of Mai's room. Jiraiya turned to see Naruto and let out a breath in shock. "What are you doing here, Ero Sennin?" "I was talking to Mai," Jiraiya responded nervously. "Well, you better hope that Yumi doesn't find out that you're asking her mother for advice on your book. I would hate see what she would do you." Jiraiya was shocked. How did you know about that?" Naruto snorted. "I have ears, you know. When you visited last time I heard her offer to give you pointers. Yumi doesn't know that her mother is a pervert just like you. I won't tell her because it would devastate her. Anyway, I didn't see you and this little talk never happened, so good night." Naruto walked past Jiraiya and headed straight for his room. Jiraiya scratched his head. He didn't think about it too much. Phase 1 of his information gathering was done. Now it was time to start Phase 2, which involved liquor, lipstick and waking up the next day rather happy. He exited to the hotel seeking what he dubbed his inspiration. Naruto entered the room. Yumi was laying on the bed with her back towards the door. He decided to slip out of his clothes and jump in the shower. 10 minutes later he exited the shower in his blue boxers and his white shirt. He decided to slip into bed without waking Yumi. Naruto slipped under the covers. He then placed his arm around Yumi. "I know you're not asleep, Yumi-chan. I just want to apologize for what I said to you. If I hurt your feelings, it was not my intention. I love you too much to ever hurt you." He whispered the words into her ear. Naruto got no response. He didn't expect one. After all, he did call her an ass. Naruto put his hands behind his head and just looked at the ceiling. He felt an arm wrap around his waist and a head rest on his chest. "Let's just get some sleep, Naruto-kun. It has been a very long day." He smiled at his girlfriend before they both drifted into land of dreams. The sunlight cast itself onto the eyes of the female with brown hair. Yumi brought her hands forth to shield her eyes from the brightness of the sun. She opened her eyes slowly to adjust to her surroundings. She rolled over to place her arm around Naruto, only to find that he was not there. The focus in. She could now see that the blonde was no longer by her side. She saw him sitting in a chair a couple of feet away. He was fully dressed in a black jacket with orange lining, and matching pants. As he was slipping his sandal on his feet, he looked at Yumi and smiled. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he said in a playful tone to the girl on the bed. She sat up and looked at him. "Good morning, Naruto, leaving so soon?" "Yes, I have to be at the Hokage Tower in 20 minutes. Oba-chan is going to give us our mission today. I don't know what type of mission it is or how long I'm going to be gone," he informed the girl. She got out of the bed and walked up to him and sat in his lap. "I hope you're not gone for too long." She kissed him on the cheek, then got off of his lap. "Well, I'm going to take a shower. You should probably get going. You don't want to be late, it gives people a bad impression, you know." Naruto stood up. "Yes, I know. Well, Yumi, I'm off, I'll see you." Naruto walked to the door, but before could open it to leave he heard Yumi speak, "Naruto." He turned to face his girl. "Yes?" She walked up and kissed him on the lips. "Be careful, okay?" He gave her one of his infamous grins. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." He exited the hotel room, leaving Yumi behind. Yumi, who was still in her white pajama pants and sky blue tank top, proceeded to the bathroom to freshen up. Hokage Tower. 20 minutes later, Naruto walked into Tsunade's office with no time to spare. He looked around, and from what he could see, everyone who was assigned to this mission was there. Everyone was dressed in the standard Chunin and Junin uniform. Tsunade looked at Naruto, who finally landed his eyes on her. "Glad you could join us, Naruto. Now that you're here, I will go over the mission briefing. This mission is an A-rank mission with the possibility of turning into an S-class mission. Your mission is to infiltrate a cloud ninja outpost on the outskirts of Lighting Country. You are to recover a blueprint layout to a ninja base in Lighting Country." Naruto spoke first. "What is so important in the ninja base that would force you to assign a mission to recover two blueprints for it?" The fifth leaned back in her chair. "In one of our previous missions, we obtained a prisoner from the cloud. After being tortured by Ibiki, he gave us some info, but not entirely enough. So I had Yamanaka Ino search his memories, and she discovered that the base had battle plans that they intended to use on us. Ino also discovered that the blueprint to this base was located where I previously stated. Do you understand why this mission is so vital?" Naruto shook his head. "Yes." Tsunade spoke. "Good. Sasuke will be acting as team leader for this mission. Sakura, you will be head medic, and Udon will be lead strategist. If there is nothing else, then you guys are dismissed." Naruto looked directly into the Hokage's eyes and spoke. "There is something that I wish to request." Tsunade eyed him suspiciously. "What is your request?" "I request that you make me squad leader on this mission." Naruto stated his request, which shocked everyone. Sasuke glared at Naruto. In his mind, Naruto was questioning his leadership and he didn't like it. He was an Anbu captain, and his team was by far the most successful Anbu squad in the Leaf with a 0 casualty rate. By Naruto asking to lead this mission made him furious. "Hokage-sama, I am more than capable of leading this squad. My mission success rate proves that fact." Sasuke spoke in a tone that hid his anger. Naruto looked at Sasuke. "I wasn't questioning if you were capable or not, I just thought that I would be the best option for this particular mission." Hanabi decided to speak. "Why? Because you beat Sasuke-sama? Just because you won that little fight, doesn't mean you're qualified to lead." Naruto turned to the person who spoke. "That's not it. I'm sure Sasuke could lead this mission perfectly, but my connections in Lighting Country are well suited for this mission." Tsunade was deep in thought. Naruto did have a point. He probably was fit to lead, but she didn't know how well it would go over with everyone else. Thinking it over for a while, she finally came to a decision. "First, I would like to ask everyone here who they think should be leader. Based on your votes, I will select the leader for this mission." Hanabi quickly responded. "I elect Sasuke-sama." Udon was next to respond. "Sasuke." Konohamaru followed. "Naruto." Hinata spoke a soft voice. "Naruto-kun." Sakura was the last to respond. She looked at both Naruto and Sasuke, then back to Tsunade. "I choose Sasuke." Naruto just shook his head, then looked at Tsunade. "Fine. I thought that it would be best since I have been to Cloud a number of times on missions, but if this is the decision, then I will comply." Tsunade spoke once more. "Okay. You have your mission. You are to meet up at the gate at noon and head out." Dismissed. Naruto was heading out, then he heard the Hokage's voice. "Naruto, wait. I want you to stay." The blonde stopped and turned to face the fifth. He walked up to her desk. "What do you want?" She leaned forward with her chin resting on the back of her hands. Are you mad that Sasuke is leading this mission? No, was his only response. She looked at him again to read his emotions. The old Naruto would have been mad that Sasuke was leading, but this Naruto wasn't. She wondered, Naruto, you have to understand that they trust Sasuke, so that's why majority thought he would be best to lead this mission. Naruto gave her shrug. Whatever, I don't really care. You're paying me to do a job, so that's what I will do. I thought it would be beneficial that I lead because I know the geographical terrain and I also have a spy network. Anyway, I will do what Sasuke requires of me. No more, no less. Tsunade shook her head, pleased with his statement. Good, I just wanted to clear that up because the mission success is vital. Naruto headed to the exit. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm going back to the hotel, later Oba-chan. Tsunade's eyes widened in shock as he exited her office. A smile formed on her face and a tear slid down her cheek. He called me Oba-chan. Naruto, you may not officially be the leader of this mission, but it will be you who will lead them to success. Naruto went back to the hotel. He entered his room to find Yumi and her mother sitting on the bed talking. Naruto smiled. Hey Mai, how is everything? The brown-haired woman smiled. Pretty good. Yumi was telling me about you beating up some guy yesterday. She also told me you had a mission. I thought you weren't coming back today. Well, Mai-san, I do have a mission, but I don't have to leave until noon. I have 2 hours to prepare for my mission and get everything I need. Since I have all of my equipment, I have 2 hours to blow. He answered his girlfriend's mother. Oh, okay. We're waiting for Ino. She promised to show me more of the village. Yumi is coming with us since you're going on a mission. Mai explained. Yumi looked at Naruto. Mother convinced me to tag along, so I decided to do so. I'm sure you're going to have a good time. Soon as Naruto finished his words, there was a knock at the door. Naruto opened the door to find it was Ino. Hey Ino, how is everything? It's good. How are you doing? Ino asked. Fine, well I guess I should get out of here and let you girls enjoy your day. Later Ino, I'm sorry about holding that kunai to your neck. Naruto stated before he ran off. Ino looked at Mai and Yumi. So you girls ready to go? Yes Ino, I think we're ready. Mai responded. Let's go, I'm off for a week and I plan on enjoying myself. The life of a ninja is hard, you know. The blonde kunoichi stated. Mai gave a slight laugh. I suppose. Well, let's go so we can have some fun. Besides, I promised Jiraiya-san that I would meet up with him to discuss some matters. Yumi wondered what her mother had to talk to pervert about. What do you have to discuss with Jiraiya, mom? Mai didn't want to let her daughter know what was happening, so she decided to bend the truth a little. I'm not sure, but he said he needs my advice on some, clueless to what that might be. Yumi looked at her mother sideways. She didn't buy that for a second, that lie for a second. Unknowing to her mother, Naruto, and Jiraiya, Yumi knew that her mother was helping Jiraiya write his dirty novel. When Jiraiya visited them for a week, she remembered waking up late to go to the bathroom. While going to the restroom, she heard her mother and Jiraiya discussing his book. She was giving him suggestions on what should be in the book and what should be omitted. I can't believe that my mother is giving Ero Sennin some ideas to write that smut. Well, the book isn't all that bad. It did reveal some positions that I performed on Naruto that was very satisfactory. Blah, what the hell am I thinking? That book is smut, plain and simple. Naruto probably knows and doesn't want to tell me. Fine, I'll play stupid, Yumi thought. Just watch yourself around him, mom, he's a pervert, she warned her mother. Don't worry Yumi, I'm a big girl, I'll be okay, Mai assured her daughter. With that being said, the ladies were off to tour the town. Hyuga compound. Hinata was packing some clothes and extra tools for her little expedition. She looked over her stuff to see if she had everything. Once she saw that she had everything she needed, she placed her backpack on her back and decided to head the ramen stand to grab a quick meal before she left for the mission. While she entered the courtyard, she saw her father and her sister talking. Her father was alerted of her presence and signaled for her to join them. She became nervous as she got closer and could the look on her father's face. Father, is there something that you wish to talk to me about? He looked at her with disgust. I heard about your mission from Hanabi, don't screw this up. She looked down. Yes father, I will do my best to not be a burden. All you ever do is try and fail miserably. Just don't screw this mission up. What's this I hear you wanting that delinquent as the leader of this mission? Your sister said you voted for him instead of Sasuke. What is the meaning of this? He stared at her waiting for an answer. Father, Naruto-kun knows the geographical layout of Lighting Country. I thought we would benefit from his vast knowledge if he was to take lead, that's all, replied the pale-eyed girl. Hiyashi still eyed his eldest daughter with disgust. Like I said before, don't fail the mission. You should be a Junin now, but you're still a Chunin. In my eyes you are pathetic. Hinata, you should be more like Hanabi. She'll probably become a Junin on the next exam and surpass you once again. Sometimes I wish she was the oldest. Hinata wanted to cry, but she told herself not to. Her father had always favored Hanabi over her. Why couldn't he see the things that she was good at? She might not be the best fighter, but she was gifted with making medicine. She also was kind, caring, and selfless, but none of those qualities mattered to her father. Sometimes she wished she wasn't a Hyuga. Maybe then life would have been better. She cleared her thoughts and did what she normally did in this situation. I'm sorry for being weak, father. I will try my best to become as strong as Hanabi, father. She bowed and headed to the exit. Hanabi bowed to her father and followed suit. The young Hyuga smirked. She was the reason why her father belittled her sister. Hinata deserved it for suggesting that blonde idiot lead the mission. That would show her to side with shinobis that are not of this village. She finally caught up to her sister. Hinata. Where are you heading to? Hinata didn't want to speak to Hanabi right now. However, she didn't want to be rude either, so she turned to Hanabi. I was just heading to Ichiraku ramen stand. Do you wish to join me, sister? Hanabi wore the same expression of disgust that her father had on earlier. I'll pass. I wouldn't be caught dead in that place. It is so beneath a Hyuga. Hinata knew her sister would decline. Most of the main family felt that they were better than everyone, and her sister was no exception. Well, Hanabi, I guess I will see you at the gate at noon. Goodbye, sister. Hinata walked off, leaving Hanabi behind. Hanabi was about to take a step but realized that she didn't have anywhere to go. She didn't have any friends because she chose not to associate with people weaker than herself. She looked at Hinata walking away. She made a decision. Hinata, wait up. At Ichiraku ramen stand, Naruto and Konohamaru were sitting on a stool eating ramen. Bro, don't sweat it. At least we're on a mission together, I wasn't really worrying about that Konohamaru. He leading the mission doesn't affect my abilities. Anyway, why did you vote for me? Konohamaru sucked up the noodles that were hanging out his mouth. Well, you seem like a better fit to be leader. You said you know your way around Lighting Country, right? I'm sure your knowledge is more vast than Sasuke's, so that's why I thought you should lead. Oh, okay, that seems reasonable, Naruto replied. Hinata walked up to the stand. Hello, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Hinata. Hello, Hinata, how are you? After what her father said, how could she be okay? She didn't want him to see that she wasn't, so she gave a fake smile. I'm good. She sat on the stool to the right of Naruto. Ichiraku-san, can I please have one miso ramen? He looked at Hinata and smiled. One miso coming up for the pretty young lady. Everyone turned to see who it was calling Hinata. Everyone saw that it was her younger sister. Hanabi finally arrived at the stand. Hinata, didn't you hear me calling you? Sorry, Hanabi, I didn't hear you. Hinata clearly was lying. She chose to ignore Hanabi. Right now she didn't want to be bothered with her sister. Hi, Hanabi-chan. Konohamaru greeted the young Hyuga with a faint blush on his cheeks. She turned to look at who spoke to her, only to see the third's grandson, or Monkey Boy, as she called him. What do you want, Monkey Boy? Konohamaru looked at the ground. She never was nice to him, no matter how much he tried to be nice to her. Naruto didn't know her long, but he knew he didn't like her. Every Hyuga, in his opinion, with the exception of Neji and Hinata, were stuck-up snobs. Konohamaru, don't waste your energy being nice to people who always look at you like you're dirt. It's not worth it. Besides, you could do much better than that ugly Hyuga. Naruto said this trying to get a rise out of Hanabi, and his plan worked to perfection. Who are you calling ugly, you maggot? I am the heir to the Hyuga, and I'm currently the strongest Chunin in the village. How dare you speak ill of me? Naruto stopped eating his ramen and turned to face the Hinata's sister. You don't wish for people to speak ill to you, but yet and still you speak to others in the way that you wish not to be spoken. Calling Konohamaru a monkey boy is an insult to him. It is not only an insult to him, but it's an insult to his grandfather who gave his life for you unappreciative villagers. By you calling him monkey is mocking his grandfather's legacy. Now if you were joking with him, then it wouldn't be problem, But you clearly think you're better than him, and that's a problem. She smirked. So what if I think I'm better? It's not as if it isn't true. I'm a genius, he's a pathetic monkey boy. I will always be better than that loser. Naruto shook his head. I hate that word genius. Everyone think that being born with the ability to pick up things quicker than others makes them superior. Neji was a genius and I beat him. Sasuke was a genius and both Rock Lee and I beat him. Both of us were dead last in our graduating class. I came across a lot of so-called geniuses and in the end they all lost to me. You want to know what being a genius means? It means absolutely nothing. The only thing that means anything is hard work. Lee understands, Hinata understands, and Konohamaru understands that hard work will surpass a genius any day. It was luck that you beat Neji and Sasuke. I'm sure you can't beat them again if you tried. Once a loser, always a loser is what I say. Was Hanover, you pale-eyed freak? I think I just lost my appetite by looking at your ugly face. Sorry Hinata-chan, but you're the prettiest Hyuga female I know. It's sad because you seem to have taken all of the looks, leaving her with the short end of the stick. Well, I'll catch you guys later. Naruto walked away. Hanabi had her fist clenched. How dare he insult my eyes? He insulted me and my family with that statement. No one defiles the name of the Hyuga and insult our bloodline. Who does he think he is to insult our legacy? Hanabi's eyes widened at what she was about to say. She realized that it hurt when he called her a pale-eyed freak. She wondered if this is how Konohamaru felt when she called him monkey boy. Hanabi closed her eyes. She prepared herself for to do what she was about to do. She then opened her eyes, then turned to Konohamaru. I'm sorry for calling you monkey boy. Hinata and Konohamaru were shocked that Hanabi had apologized. Konohamaru smiled. Hanabi, would you like to take a walk with me? No. She turned and walked off, leaving the boy defeated. Hinata touched his shoulder. Don't worry Konohamaru-kun. I'm sure my sister will like you someday. He looked at Hinata and gave a weak smile. I hope so. I really hope so. 2 hours later, Hyuga Hanabi sat on top of the gate waiting for the rest of team. She was at the very same spot for the last 2 hours thinking about that idiot Naruto, and about Konohamaru. Looking at it from Naruto's perspective, she knew she was wrong for calling him monkey boy. What she didn't understand is after all her insults he still tried to be nice to her. It doesn't matter, she was thinking it over too much anyway. Care if I join you, Hyuga-sama? Naruto said mockingly. Hanabi tensed up slightly. How the hell did he sneak up on me? I didn't even sense his presence. If he was an enemy of mine I would be dead right now. She looked at the blonde. Do whatever you want. Naruto sat down next to her. Sasuke and Sakura are on their way. Konohamaru and Hinata are also on their way, as well as Udon. How do you know this? Can you detect them? She questioned. Actually, I see them walking towards the gate, Naruto stated. A couple of minutes later Sasuke and company arrived at the gate. Hanabi and Naruto jumped down, landing next to the group. Okay everyone, this is my first time working with some of you, and for others this is not. Those who I worked with know that I'm about being efficient as possible. Our goal is to get the scroll, we are to get in and get out undetected. Hanabi. He looked at her, gaining her attention. This is my first time working with you, but I have worked with Hinata and Neji before. If you're anything like these two, then we should get along fine. Udon, I've worked with you on a number of occasions, and for those that don't know, all strategy and planning will go through him. If you have a better idea, feel free to let us hear it. Sakura is the medic, so our goal is to make sure she is safe at all times. However, Sakura is capable of handling herself, so don't worry too much. Naruto. Sasuke turned to Naruto. We haven't worked together in a while, so I really don't know what you're capable of besides the Kage Bunshin. All I know is that you and I are the strongest here, so that should be good enough. Naruto was laughing in his head. Leave it to Sasuke to not say that I'm better than him. But you're right, you have no idea what I'm capable because I didn't show that much in our fight, now did I? Naruto decided to ask Sasuke a question. What is the formation pattern? Sasuke was shocked that Naruto asked this. Well, I was going to have Hinata in the front, Udon directly behind to signal us. Both me and you are going to be at Sakura's sides. I'm on her right while you are on her left. We're the most capable to protect the medic, but we're also the most capable to provide support to the others in case of an ambush. Konohamaru will be directly behind Sakura, and Hanabi will be scanning the back to make sure we're not being followed. Does anyone have any other questions? Everyone shook their heads. The group walked past the gate and took to the trees in no time. They were heading to Lighting Country. Everyone took the formation that Sasuke had planned. Naruto looked at the Uchiha. Sasuke, moving at a fast pace, it's going to take us about 3 days to get to Lightning Country, that's with rest stops. I was thinking maybe we could head to a dock in Rice Country northeast of here. From there we could charter a boat that would have us in Lightning Country by tomorrow. Sasuke closed his eyes to think it over. No cloud ninjas are all over Rice Country, there is no way we could elude them. We're better off going by foot if we plan on getting into Lightning undetected. We could always disguise ourselves and, Naruto never got to finish his sentence. I said no. Sasuke elevated his voice so Naruto understood his decision was final. It won't work. I'll figure how to get us into Lightning. First we're going to stop at Ricefield Village in Rice Country and rest for the night. We should arrive there in about 7 hours if we keep up this pace. From there we'll review the map and go with our best feasible option. Naruto narrowed his eyes. The bastard didn't even listen to what I had to say. I could have gotten us in Lightning Country with no problem. My friend owns the docks there, he could have gotten us on a freight ship heading there. We could have been there by early morning tomorrow. Oh well, he did say we're stopping to rest in Ricefield Village. I'm sure Sasama-chan and her clan are keeping a close eye on cloud ninjas. Maybe she could give me information on their movements in Rice Country. 7 hours later, Naruto and company just arrived at their intended destination. They were walking through the busy town. Even at night, when the sun was setting, Ricefield Village was busy with people. Sasuke directed everyone to the hotel they were staying at. Sasuke went to talk to the receptionist while everyone waited for him. Sasuke returned to the group. Okay, we're sharing rooms. The girls will be in 305 and the guys will be in 306. I am heading to the room. Udon, I think it's time we take a look at that map to decide our route. Sasuke turned to everyone else. The rest of you guys are free to do whatever. Try to keep a low profile. Also, we're leaving here at 5 AM sharp. So keep that in mind if any of you plan on staying out late. With that, Sasuke and Udon headed to their rooms. Hanabi looked at Hinata. Sister, are you hungry? She nodded yes, indicating that she was hungry. I saw a steakhouse not far from here. Let's get dinner. Hanabi turned to Sakura. Would you care to join us, Sakura-san? Sure. Sakura responded. Hanabi turned to Naruto and Konohamaru. Regretting what she was about to ask, would you two like to join us as well? Sure, I'm in. Konohamaru said with excitement. I'll pass. Naruto said, heading towards the exit. He looked at Konohamaru. Tell Sasuke I'll catch up with you guys if I'm not here by 5 AM. Sakura wondered if Naruto was mad at her choosing Sasuke for being team leader or mad at the fact that Sasuke rejected his idea, which in her opinion was not that bad. Naruto, where are you going? He looked at Sakura. I'm going to get some information from a friend about the activity of the Cloud and Rain Nins in this country. Sasuke may want to select the best route, but he forgot to factor in that we might encounter enemy Nins. Maybe he did factor it all in and just wants to fight. I, however, wish to end this mission as quick as possible without having to fight. Anyway, I probably won't be back here tonight, so I'll see you guys later. Before he left, he performed a henge, transforming into a brown-haired man, with brown eyes and civilian clothing. He turned to Hinata. Hinata-chan, I think it would be wise if you and Hanabi were to transform. Being Hyuga main members, you guys might be recognized. Sakura, you and Konohamaru might want to change too. Incognito is the key here. We don't want to alert any Nins, and if they see Hyuga's toot is blown. Well, I'll see you guys. Naruto headed out of the hotel with his new look, and headed to south of the village. He was heading into Fuma territory. As he was walking, he noticed shurikens flying at him. He jumped out of the way to avoid the metallic projectiles. Before he could do anything, he was surrounded by a group of Fuma clan members. The girl with the long orange hair spoke. You are trespassing on Fuma territory. State your business or leave. Naruto smiled at the girl he recognized. I'm surprised that you don't remember me, Sasama-chan. It hasn't been that long for you to forget me. A smoke cloud surrounded the person in front of her. When it cleared, she was smiling from ear to ear. Naruto-kun. Shiran jumped into the arms of the man standing before her. When the other Fumas saw that he was no threat, they stood down. She looked up to the man who was taller than her. It's good to see you, Naruto-kun. What brings you to here? Well, I'm here on a mission. I going to Lightning Country. My group just stopped to rest. I have to leave in the morning, but I couldn't pass through here without seeing you. So how is everything? The blonde shinobi questioned. It's great. Ever since Sound fell 2 years ago, everything has been good. However, this war between the leaf and the cloud is making things worse. My grandfather fears that we might have another ninja war on our hands if Kiri gets involved. So far they've remained neutral, but you never know. Naruto spoke. Yeah, you're right. I hope that there won't be a war, but either way I'm in it now. So, what village are you working for? Sasama questioned. His expression became serious. Konoha, was all that he said. So helping your home village, how noble of you, she said, proud of him. I'm not really helping, it's more like they're paying for my services. Naruto corrected the girl's assumption. Really, how much did her paying you? Let me guess, 10 million Ryu, 20 million Ryu or what? 90 million. Naruto simply said. Sasama's mouth was hanging open. 10 million was high, 20 million was pushing it, but 90, that was just beyond anything she could conceive. Wow, they must really want your services. They probably only paid you that much for what you did in Rain and Rock since those two were allied with Cloud. So I know you're not here on a social call, so what do you want? Naruto scratched the back of his while smiling. Well, I do wish it was social call. He removed his hand from his head and gave Sasama a steely gaze. However, my mission is a dangerous one. I know you guys keep tabs on all the nins in this area. Care to give me a breakdown on where they patrol and an estimate on how many to expect? Sasama's facial expression became serious. The nins are patrolling the borders between Rice and Lighting. There are a few Cloud, Rain, and Rock nins patrolling about a couple miles west of here. Some have set up camps about 10 miles north of here. The way they're set up, it seems as if they're expecting Konoha nins. Let's go inside my house so I can give you their locations on a map. Sasama led the blonde to her 2-story house. They entered the 2-story flat, which consisted of a living room that was furnished decently enough, and the kitchen was a regular green-colored kitchen. Naruto didn't get to see the rest of the house because Sasama offered him a seat on the burgundy couch. Naruto took a seat while the orange-haired girl headed upstairs. She came back downstairs about 3 minutes later with a map and a red marker. She laid the map on the coffee table. He came closer when he saw that she was about to give him the location of the enemies. She circled a spot on the northern part of the map. Okay. This is where the camps are exactly. It's just past this pond. She circled an area on the side of the map that indicated west. This area is where they're patrolling. She drew a line from where the camp was located to where the patrol area was located. They only patrol west of the campsite. Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense, Naruto wondered. It makes perfect sense. Whoever passes by the patrol team will more than likely run into the border patrol teams which patrols the border of Lightning Country. Naruto, getting into Lightning is not going to be easy, Sasama pointed out. Naruto studied the map to find an alternative route. Damn, if only Sasuke would have listened to me. We could have been in Lightning Country already. Now we got to do this the hard way. She shook here. Your task is most certainly not an easy one. I wish there was a way to avoid the border patrol, but I don't think there will be a way to do so. Naruto looked at the map more carefully. He smiled when his eyes landed on the enemy camp. There is a way, but the chance of it being successful all depends on my team's speed. What do you mean by that? She questioned. Naruto began to explain. The border patrol usually patrols a certain area at certain times. It usually takes them about 5 to 10 minutes to come back to an area they previously checked. They tend not to come back because they plant traps that would be hard for the enemy to maneuver through. Avoiding traps should be easy enough. The only question is if my team is fast enough to get past the area undetected. I know that me and the team leader won't have no problems, however I can't account for the others. I don't know, it's a slim chance, but if it avoids fighting then it's a good choice. That might be possible. Sasama agreed. Yeah, I just hope my team is working on something better. I really don't want to have to kill enemy nins. That would only alert them of our presence, which would compromise the mission, the blonde stated. Naruto rolled up the map then slipped it in the inner lining of his jacket. Well Sasama, it was really good to see you again. I wish I could stay but duty calls. Later Sasama-chan. Before Naruto got to the door, Naruto, be careful. The rain has not forgot what you did. They won't hesitate to hurt you, so please, be careful. Naruto turned to his friend and gave her a smile of reassurance. "Don't worry, I will be fine." Naruto hanged back into the state he was in before he came to the Fuma clan district. He headed back to the hotel. An hour or so had passed since he left his group to seek out Sasama. While walking, thought about what Sasama said. "I don't only have to worry about rain nins, I also have deal with rock nins. They want my head for what I did a year ago, and because I look like the yellow flash of Konoha, it doesn't matter. I'm quite sure their cages told them to flee on sight after what happened in Rain and Earth Country. But still, someone will try to confront me to make a name. We have to go off the radar for this mission. My reputation makes me a liability," Naruto thought to himself. After a few minutes of walking, Naruto found himself back at the hotel. He headed straight for the room the boys were staying at. When he opened the door, he found that everyone was in the room. All eyes turned to him. "Where did you go?" "I called a team meeting 30 minutes ago," Sasuke stated. Naruto walked up to the group, who surrounded a table with a map on it. He examined the map for a couple of seconds before picking it up and ripped it. Sasuke narrowed his eyes while the others wondered why he destroyed the map. "What the hell? It took us nearly 30 minutes trying to figure out the best route that would lead us closer to the target destination." Naruto ignored Sasuke and placed his hand inside his jacket to retrieve the map Sasama gave him. He proceeded to unfold the map. He then laid it across the table so everyone could see. "I'm sorry, Sasuke, but I could bet that you didn't take into account that they have a camp located here. You guys also didn't factor in that in taking the route that you suggested would lead us right into border patrol. I know we could take them, but that would result in the failure of our mission. The best plan that I came up with is that we try to slip past border patrol when they pass one of their checkpoints. If you don't like my plan, then come UPR. You have all of the information that you need there. I'm going to sleep, wake me when we get ready to head out." Naruto flopped down on the bed in the far right corner of the room. Udon looked at the map carefully, looking for flaws. If the enemy camp's patrols were located where this map indicated them to be, then Naruto's plan was the only course action. He thought about another option, then looked at Naruto. "Hey Naruto, you mentioned something about getting to Lightning on a boat. I think that would be our best option at this point." Naruto sat up to look at Udon. "The opportunity has passed. There is only one boat that goes to Lightning from the dock I talked about, and it leaves at 3 in the afternoon every day. This right now is the only option. I did my part, so I'll leave it up to you guys to figure it out." Naruto was getting ready to lay down when Sasuke decided to speak. "Where did you get this map from? How do we even know that the information on it is even credible?" Naruto sat back up, looking annoyed by Sasuke's remark. "A friend of mine, who is a fellow ninja, lives here in Rice and knows this country pretty well. My friend, who has kept a close eye on the movements of Cloud, Rain, and Rock Nins in this area, gave me this information. So that is how the information is credible. If you don't think so, then don't follow it. It's your team, Sasuke. We will fail and succeed through you, so do whatever you want with it." Sasuke narrowed his eyes at Naruto out of frustration. Naruto saw this and flopped back down to relax, all the while smiling in his head. He knew Sasuke might not believe the info, but he was required to do right by the team. Naruto had just forced him to follow to his plan without throwing a punch. He just hoped that they could get through the border patrol without being detected. He looked up at the ceiling until he fell into a deep slumber. Sasuke and the others were still going over the plan. Udon looked at the map. "This is the only option that we have if the map is correct. The boat would have been a good idea, but that isn't an option. Well, I guess we'll go with this. I think we should get some sleep so we can move at the crack of dawn." Sasuke regrettably shook his head in agreement. Hinata, Sakura, Hanabi, and Konohamaru all agreed as well. The girls left the boys and headed to their room to get some sleep. Both Konohamaru and Udon went to lay on the beds that they picked to sleep on. Sasuke stood by the table, still looking at the map. He tried to find flaws in Naruto's plan but couldn't find anything. Even if he did, would it matter since his plan is the only option? Sasuke looked at the map one more time before walking over to his bed. He would need all the rest he could possibly get. This mission will be one of his toughest yet, that he was sure of. Naruto had awakened to see that Sasuke was already up and dressed. After letting his eyes get adjusted to his surrounding, he then looked around to see that the beds around him were neatly made. He then turned his head to Sasuke. "What time is it?" "It's 3 in the morning. Everyone is up getting prepared. I suggest you clean up so we can be prepared to move out at 0400 hours. This was the response given by Sasuke. Naruto slowly lifted himself out of the bed. He walked to the bathroom to freshen himself up. Before he walked past Sasuke, who was leaning a wall near the bathroom with arms folded, the Uchiha spoke. I'll be in the girls' room. I expect you to be there in 15 minutes so we can go over a few things. Naruto looked at Sasuke and nodded. He then entered the bathroom to freshen up. Sasuke left the room and headed to the room that belonged to the females of the group. The holder of the Sharingan entered the room. Sakura, who was sitting on a bed next to Hanabi, looked up. Oh Sasuke-kun, you're here. All of us are ready to head out whenever you are. I assume that Naruto is getting ready as we speak. He nodded. Yes, he's freshening up a bit. Sakura, where are Hinata, Konohamaru, and Udon? They went to get us something to eat at the local tavern, Sakura answered. Sasuke went to lean on a wall next to the window. Hanabi was fixing the gloves on her hand. Her Junin vest was lying neatly on the floor next to her sandals. The said Kunoichi placed her headband on her forehead. She then slipped into her black sandals and put on her vest. Sakura was already fully dressed in the standard Junin outfit. Just when Sakura got off of the bed to stand up, Hinata, Konohamaru, and Udon walked into the room. Hello Hanabi-chan. Konohamaru greeted the younger Hyuga. She looked at the boy. Hello. She returned the greeting emotionlessly. Sakura looked at Hinata, who was standing next to Konohamaru. So what did you guys get? We got some rice balls and some water from a local shop that was surprisingly open at this hour. Hinata responded. Hinata looked around the room sensing one person missing from the group. Sakura-san, where is Naruto? Sasuke spoke up. He should be here any minute. Right on cue. Naruto walked into the room sporting a navy blue jacket and pants with blue sandals. His outfit was an exact copy of almost everyone else's excluding the vest. Sasuke wore a black outfit with the Uchiha symbol on the back of his vest. Good morning everyone, Naruto said, greeting everyone in the room. Everyone, with the exception of Hanabi and Sasuke, returned the greeting. Sasuke walked up to the table that was similar to the one in the boys' room. He then laid out the map and ordered everyone to gather around. Sasuke pointed to a marking on the map. Okay, we're here and we need to go there. According to Naruto's intel, we should run into enemy nins about around here. Getting past the nins really isn't the problem is getting across the border undetected. If I were by myself, then it would be no problem to do so, but there is a group of us and we all vary in speed. Sakura, Naruto, and I have the speed necessary to get past undetected. You four on the other hand I'm not so sure about, which is why we're leaving in about 45 minutes. I see, you want us to stay under the cover of the night. Even if we don't have the speed, getting across undetected should be easier. The darkness gives us a great advantage, Hanabi said, understanding Sasuke's intentions. Naruto looked at Hanabi. That's not the only reason why we have the advantage. She gave Naruto a question look. Care to elaborate on what you mean by that not being our only advantage? Sasuke spoke before Naruto could explain. What I think Naruto means is we're at an advantage because we have two Hyugas, whose Byakugan can see in night as if it were day. The enemy doesn't have this advantage, but we do, and it will help us get past the border patrol. That's what you were going to say, right Naruto? Yes, something along those lines. Geez, you didn't have to cut me off, Sasuke-teme, Naruto thought. Sasuke continued to speak. We're going to use the same formation that we used yesterday. Also, we're going to be stopping in a town about 6 miles east of the ninja outpost we are to infiltrate. We will rest there until about 6:30 p.m. Then we will make our move on the base. I want us in and out by 8 p.m. Naruto gave a slight smirk. I have to admit that you have a perfect plan, Sasuke. It seems that you are somewhat familiar with Lightning Country. Sasuke took his eyes off of the map. I've been there once. And you noticed that minor detail by just being there once? Naruto questioned. I try not to overlook anything. A minor detail can be monumental to the success of a mission, Sasuke responded. So true, most shinobi forget that, and it's most oftentimes their downfall. Konohamaru, along with Hanabi, Hinata, and Udon were looking at the two former members of the well-known Team 7. Why do we have to be in and out by 8 p.m. and what is this minor detail that you two speak of? Konohamaru asked. Sakura was the one to respond. It's simple, Konohamaru. The sun sets at approximately 7:30 every day in Lightning Country. By the time we have the scroll we have come here to obtain Akis, because we'll be under the cover of the night. That is what Sasuke and Naruto meant by that minor detail. It's easy to overlook but it really shouldn't be. I have to say that this is a great plan, Sasuke-kun. Out of the corner of his eye, Naruto looked at Sakura and smirked. I'm impressed that you noticed that detail as well. So, it seems that you have gotten better while I was gone. You two aren't the only ones who were trained by a Sannin. Besides, I've been to Lightning once on a reconnaissance mission. I don't know my way around the country like you, but I do know when to look for advantages. Sakura said, grinning from ear to ear. Hanabi looked at Sasuke. So what is our contingency plan? Konohamaru looked at Hanabi quizzically. Contingency plan? What do you mean by contingency? She looked at him with annoyance. Are you serious? You are the grandson of the third and you don't know what I mean by contingency. Hinata spoke up while looking at Konohamaru. It means backup plan, Konohamaru-kun. Oh, okay. He said with a better understanding. There isn't one. Naruto's words filled the air so Hanabi could hear. The younger Hyuga spoke in an aggressive manner. What do you mean there isn't one? We need a backup plan in case this one fails. Sasuke turned his attention to the young Hyuga. This is the only option. Our village is at war with the cloud, rain, and rock, so it's safe to assume that their nins are everywhere. Also, he pointed to Naruto. His presence puts us in even more danger. Everyone turned to Naruto. Sakura was the first to speak. What does he mean by you putting us at even more risk, Naruto? He means that nins from the Rain and Rock village are ordered to kill me on sight, Naruto answered. Hanabi became more curious by this new development. You must have done something for them to want to kill you on sight. What did you do? Naruto got a sad look in his eyes. He closed his eyes to hide his emotions. He spoke in a calm manner. I don't want to talk about it. All you need to know is that they want my head. Udon spoke up. So, that clears up that mystery. Hanabi looked at the Chunin who wore glasses. What do you mean by that? Udon decided to answer her question. If you guys were to look at the bingo book more often you would see that Naruto is listed as an S-class nin. I believe the exact words were, wanted for crimes committed in Rain and Earth Country. Extremely dangerous, avoid at all costs. Am I right, Sasuke? Yes, Udon, I believe it was along those lines. He looked at Naruto. I could care less why you did what you did. I'm sure you had your reasons, but if I feel that you are a danger to everyone else in this mission I will dismiss you. I have a 0 casualty rate for teams that I lead and I would like to keep it that way, the Uchiha said. Naruto nodded in understanding. Personally, he didn't want to put everyone in danger but he knew that he would if he was discovered in Lightning Country. They clearly had the advantage and they would send out a large amount of nins to apprehend him. He wasn't really worrying about himself, he knew he would be alright, but his team was a different story. If the enemy got a hold of his teammates they would use them for leverage to get Naruto. His thoughts were interrupted by Hinata. Naruto-kun isn't the only one that put this mission at risk. Hanabi-chan and I also put this mission at risk as well. You're right. It seems that the cloud has been after the secrets of the Byakugan since the beginning. This is a delicate situation but we are the best of the best. Sakura said, trying to boost the team's morale. Hell yeah, we are, Konohamaru shouted in agreement. Hanabi looked at him, even more annoyed. Although I don't share his enthusiasm I am inclined to agree. Tsunade-sama wouldn't have selected this group if she didn't believe in us. It's time. Let's go. Sasuke informed his team. The team filed out of the room and sped off to their intended destination. It only took them 2 minutes to reach the forest. They immediately took to trees. It would only take them 20 minutes to reach the enemy camp and another hour or so to reach the border. Sasuke spoke. Hanabi, do you see anything? Yes. About 5 miles ahead there are 16, 17, 18 there are 18 nins ahead of us. There are 8 cloud nins, 7 rain nins, and 3 rock nins to be exact. The young Hyuga answered. The lack of rock nins clearly shows that they are having a hard time with Suna forces. That's most likely why there is a lower number rock nins. The blonde shinobi pointed out. Sakura spoke. It would seem that our allies in the sand are doing a good job at keeping rock nins out our territory, as well as others. Hanabi came to a sudden halt that caused everyone to stop. She scanned the area looking for something that might be hidden. When she found what she was looking for she turned to Sasuke. It seems that there are numerous traps set up. How shall we proceed, Sasuke-sama? Sasuke thought to himself for a moment. He finally had a solution. Hinata, come here to the front with Hanabi. You two will guide us through these traps. Since the two of you have the eyes necessary, it shouldn't be problem. Hanabi and Hinata lead the group. The group surprisingly got past the enemy with ease. In fact, all of them felt that it was too easy, but they knew that the hard part was probably getting past the border. They had about an hour until they reached the border and time was of the essence. The group was slowly losing their advantage. The sun was set to rise soon. 1 hour later, the group reached the border of Lightning and Rice. They stopped to scout the area. Hinata was looking around to see if she saw any more nins. She quickly spotted 11 cloud guards about a mile west of her and 20 more about 3 miles east of her. She knew Hanabi saw what she saw as well. Sasuke-san, there are 11 cloud guards a mile west of here and 20 more 3 miles east of here. The nins that are 3 miles east of here aren't the problem. It's the 11 nins a mile away west of here. They're moving pretty fast and should be closing in on this location in about 5 minutes. Hinata said, informing her squad leader. We have no choice. Everyone, we move now at top speed. We can't afford to get spotted. The next village is only 4 miles north of here. First to file out will be Udon, followed by Konohamaru, Hinata, Hanabi, Sakura, Naruto, and myself. We move now. Sasuke gave the command, and everyone was gone from their previous spot. The team was moving at top speed. Naruto was looking at the sky. The sun was slowly coming over the horizon, and this was bad. They had a possibility of getting caught if they didn't get to the nearby village soon. Running for approximately 3 minutes, the team had crossed the border and was now officially in Lightning. Naruto stopped immediately. This caught the attention of Sasuke, who yelled for everyone else to slow down. The team was in the middle of a cornfield of a farm that was not too far from their current destination. Sasuke walked up to Naruto and asked, "Why did you stop? We can't enter a village in Lightning without disguising ourselves. I'm sure that there are cloud nins all over this country. Besides, Hinata and Hanabi are holders of the Byakugan. With them walking around as themselves, we are at risk of being exposed. Also, I'm quite sure I'm in their bingo book, so it will be easy to point me out as well." Naruto's right, Sasuke. We can't take that chance, it compromises our mission, Udon stated. Sasuke nodded. You're right, it will be easy to point out those two and yourself. The rest of us don't really need to change, but I recommend that we all change our appearance. We use these henges in the presence of the townspeople. Once we check into the hotel, we will transform back to conserve chakra. We will rent 2 rooms like last time. I expect everyone to get a decent sleep and to be up no later than 1 p.m. Everyone performed a henge. Sasuke was now a man with long brown hair and blue eyes who wore a black pants and a white shirt. Sakura's hair was now purple but head same, she now wore a red shirt with white pants. Hinata changed her eye color to purple, she now wore a sky blue jacket with a hood and purple capri pants. Hanabi's shirt was purple along with her pants, she changed her eye color to light brown. Udon only changed his clothes to a blue sweatshirt and gray shorts that fell 2 inches below the knees. Naruto changed his hair color and eye color to brown. He was now wearing a bright orange shirt with black pants. Konohamaru's transformation surprised everyone. They all glared at the boy who had no idea why they were looking at him like that. What's the matter? Is something on my face? The boy questioned. Hanabi walked up and smacked him in the head. What the hell are you thinking by transforming into a girl who looks like a slut? Ugh, you're such an idiot. Actually, Konohamaru might be onto something here. This might work in our favor, after all. Naruto said to the young Hyuga. See, Hanabi-chan, Naruto-Nisan doesn't think my transformation is a bad idea, Konohamaru said proudly. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. She suddenly saw that Naruto had a sinister look in his eyes. The last time I saw that look in his eyes, he painted the Hokage monument the next day. I don't like that look. What are your plans, bro? Konohamaru wondered. Naruto, still with the sinister look in his eyes, smiled at the group. Well, Hinata, I was thinking we could use Konohamaru to get some information, that's all. Sakura and Sasuke gave Naruto suspicious looks. Is he suggesting what I think he's suggesting? Thought the 2 former members of Team 7. Sasuke smirked. I have to say, Naruto, that this is a great idea. What about you, Sakura, do you agree? It's wrong on so many levels, but since Konohamaru had the bright idea of transforming into a female and dressed like that no less, I'd say he deserves what's in store for him. Sakura said with a smirk forming on her face as well. Hinata's eyes widened at what Naruto was getting at. You can't be serious, Naruto-kun. You wouldn't subject Konohamaru to that, would you? It's not my call, but I don't think Sasuke would disagree with me. Would you, Sasuke? Naruto asked the squad captain. No disagreements here, it's actually good for the mission. Sasuke said with his arms folded and his eyes closed while nodding. Why is this idiot transformation into a girl good for the mission? Hanabi asked Sasuke. Because, I don't think you or any of the other girls will want to degrade yourself, and there is no chance in hell that I'm going to do it, Sasuke said. Konohamaru was now nervous. What is it that I have to do? Naruto looked at Konohamaru. Konohamaru, you're going to use the Oiroke no Jutsu for the purpose it was created. I thought it was made for Wait a minute, you can be serious, Naruto-Nisan? I refuse to do this. You guys can't make me. There is no chance in hell. Konohamaru said with a tone of finality. You're doing this and that's final. If you don't, I will have you doing D-rank missions for the next 2 years. So I ask you, do you refuse or accept to do this? Sasuke asked the transformed Chunin. I'll do it. Konohamaru said in a low grunt. All right, now that that's settled, let's head into town. The main road is over there. Let's go. The team was now walking through the cornfield, to the road that headed to the town. They reached the road in no time and were now on their way to town. The Leaf Squad made it to town around 6 in the morning. The sun was finally out and it was shining brightly. The group checked into the hotel and everyone went to sleep. They had all decided to wake up at 1 p.m. to prepare for the mission that would occur later in the evening. Midday in Konoha, Yumi was walking down the street with Ino. Ino had insisted that she take her out again today since they had a good time yesterday. Yamanaka Ino decided that today would be different. Today would be the day she would get information on Naruto. The only thing she got out of the Yumi yesterday was that he had a frog wallet. Ino decided to invite Yumi to join her and a few others for lunch. The ladies arrived at the local barbecue shack, where they were greeted by a large group. The group consisted of Anko, Kurenai, Guy, Asuma, Tenten, Choji, Rock Lee, and Ebisu. Ino, followed closely by Yumi, walked up to the group. Hey guys, how's it hanging? Everything is fine, Ino-san. Would you and your guest care to join us? Lee offered. Sure, why not? Ino and Yumi sat with the group. Anko looked at Yumi. So, you're Naruto's friend, eh? Yumi nodded in agreement. Yes, I'm Naruto's girlfriend, why do you ask? Just curious, that's all. Anko answered. So we meet again, Yumi-san. It is a pleasure as always. The beautiful green beast will voluntarily pay for the meal of your choice. Guy flashed Yumi a smile that caused sweat to form on everyone's head. Anko nudged Guy. Careful, Guy. You wouldn't want Naruto to get jealous now, would you? Don't worry about Naruto. He's not the jealous type. Besides, I don't think Guy-san was hitting on me. Yumi answered. Ino spoke. If he isn't the jealous type, then what type of guy is he? Ino asked, hoping to gain insight on what Naruto was up to for the past 6 years. Yumi thought for a minute before answering Ino's question. Well, I would say that he is loyal, sweet, hardworking, selfless and caring. He sounds wonderful from your description, Yumi, the red-eyed Junin stated. Tenten spoke. You also forgot to mention that he is super strong. He even beat Sasuke. Yumi smiled at Tenten. He is strong, but I could care less. To me, he's just Naruto. Yumi-san, do you know the location of the lady that gave Naruto his gravity seals? Lee asked. Sorry, Lee-san, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't know he had that gravity seal thing until he fought that Sasuke guy. Yumi answered. Lee put his head down in defeat only to have Guy cheer him up. Everyone ignored the two and continued talking. I wondered how Naruto got so strong. Yumi, did he ever tell you where he went when he left the village? Ino asked. Well, he told me he trained with a ninja and that he also trained with a samurai. Why do you want to know? Yumi questioned. Just curious, that's all. He beat our future Hokage, just wonder about the training that he underwent. I mean, it had to be something if he beat Sasuke-kun. Ino reasoned, not trying to seem suspicious. Well, you'll have to ask Naruto when he gets back from his mission. I'm sure he'll tell you if you ask him, said the brown-haired girl. That's why I asked you, because there is no way that he will tell any of us, Ino thought. Kurenai spoke up once more. I'm curious, Yumi-san, did Naruto ever tell you about his exploits in Rain and Earth Country? Yumi knew the story. Naruto told her what he did and why he did it. She wasn't mad. In fact, she believed it was a noble thing to do. She looked at the Junin. Yes. I know what he did and I know his reason, however, he will tell you his reason for his actions. I will not tell you why he did what he did, because it is not my place. Everyone at the table, with the exception of Ebisu, knew what he did. Tenten, Lee, Ino, and Shoji, Anko were in the Anbu, so they knew about what happened. Although Ino didn't believe that he was as good as his reputation had warranted. When they went to retrieve him and he placed a kunai at her neck without her detecting him, she knew that the rumors were true. Tenten now knew for a fact that the rumors were true just by his fight with Sasuke. Kurenai, Asuma, and Guy basically knew about every S-class, A-class, and B-class nin in the bingo book. Even though it wasn't stated in the bingo book, which was odd to them, they made it their business to know why he was listed. Those who didn't know what he did knew that he was feared in those countries. However, there were some that were clueless to what he did. Mostly the Chunins and a few Junins, Sakura and Hinata included. Ebisu knew Naruto was feared in those countries but had no idea what he did to be feared. What did he do that caused him to be ranked Class S? SK the Hokage. That information is restricted. Kakashi stated outside of the window while reading his book. Kurenai eye twitched. How long have you been there, Kakashi? Kakashi folded his book and put it in his pouch. I was here for 5 minutes. But you guys seem to be enjoying yourselves. I didn't want to ruin the moment. Anyway, Ebisu, you probably don't know this info because it's mostly told to field ninjas who usually take high-risk missions. Field ninjas who take high-risk missions have a high chance of running into high-level nins. It is only reasonable that they know what they're up against. That explains why Sakura doesn't know. She spends most of her times at the hospital and she rarely goes on missions, Ino stated. Hinata doesn't know either. I wonder if her opinion of him will change when she finds out, Hinata's former sensei thought. It doesn't matter. Everyone who doesn't know will find out soon enough. Anyway, I'm off. I have a mission. You guys have a nice day. Kakashi waved at everyone. He walked away from the window. Guy decided to change the subject. Yumi-san, how do you like Konoha? The village is okay. I have received some glares from the villagers, but I guess that's because of Naruto's situation, Yumi replied. I wonder if she's referring to the fox or because he defeated Sasuke in combat, Guy thought to himself. Yeah, I guess. I mean, when you beat the villages, precious Uchiha, you're bound to receive hate, Choji said. Tenten looked at Choji. First Shikamaru, now you too. What do you guys have against Sasuke? Choji's steely gaze focused on Tenten. He's a traitor to this village. You would do good to remember that. He's going to be Hokage, Choji. We all know that a Hokage fights to protect the village and even sacrifice their life if necessary, Ino said in Tenten's defense. He may be Hokage, but to me he will always be traitor. As a leaf nin, it is my duty to follow the orders of the Hokage, but that doesn't mean I have to respect the Hokage. I'm not hungry anymore. I think I'll go for a walk. I will see you guys later. Choji placed his money on the table to pay his bill, then walked out of the restaurant. Asuma sighed. He then pulled out a cigarette to smoke. Anko looked at Choji retreating form. I wonder why he and most of the guys that graduated in his year don't like Sasuke. Was it because he was more popular? Lee answered her question. I think it has something to do with the mission to retrieve Sasuke, Anko-san. Most of us were hurt badly trying to retrieve Sasuke. Choji and Neji almost lost their lives, while Kiba, Akamaru, Shikamaru, and I were badly injured. I don't think that caused them to resent Sasuke. It has to do with Naruto-kun's exile. Most of us felt it was wrong that Naruto was blamed for the failed mission, but more mad at the fact that Sasuke was welcomed back with open arms. I don't hate anybody, it's not in my youthful nature, but what Choji-san says is true. He is a traitor and the village holds him on a pedestal. It's unfair and wrong. Anko shrugged. Whatever, you guys might dislike him, but you will have to listen to him when he's the leader of this village. Lee stood up. You're right. Excuse me everyone, But I have to train. You guys enjoy your meal. Goodbye Yumi-san. I hope we meet again. Lee bowed then walked off. Yumi was thinking about a certain blonde-haired ninja and smiled. Naruto-kun, please come back soon. 1 p.m. Village Enlightening. Everyone was awake and gathered in the room that belonged to the guys. Sasuke was going over the plan. Okay. Remember we're to leave this location at 1800 hours. I want to arrive at the ninja outpost no later than 1900. Like I said in Rice, we're to be in and out within an hour. Sasuke looked at Konohamaru and flashed him a smirk. Since you have volunteered your services, your job will be to get some info. I'm quite sure that there is a ninja that you can promise a good time and lure back here. Sasuke then turned his attention to Naruto. Naruto, I want you to scout the area by the base. Also take Hanabi with you. I think she could be beneficial to this reconnaissance assignment. Hanabi was about to protest but was cut off by Sasuke. That is final Hanabi. I don't care if you don't like Naruto. The only thing I care about is if you get the information that is needed. Why can't Hinata go? The girl asked. I want her, Udon, and Sakura to scout the town, was the answer Sasuke had given. Everyone here has an assignment. What do you plan to do? Naruto directed his question at the last Uchiha. Sasuke answered, I'm going to watch over Konohamaru. When he succeeds I will gather info from whatever nin he brings back. But if he is to fail then it's not a big deal. Naruto spoke, I guess not. Hanabi and I are the fail-safe plan. Even if Konohamaru fails, we still will know the area and the ninja outpost pretty well. Okay. Everyone let's head out. Everyone headed out and to their intended locations. 20 minutes later near the outpost, Naruto and Hanabi were scouting around the area. Both were looking for around the base. Hanabi studied Naruto for a minute. What Sasuke said earlier about him had her wondering. Can I ask you something, Naruto? The blonde looked at the girl. Okay. I guess so. What did you do in Earth and Rain Country that was so bad? Asked the Hyuga. Naruto looked at the girl for a second then turned away. I said that I don't want to talk about it so, drop it. Let's finish this mission so we can get back to the hotel. If you would Hanabi, please scan the building. Hanabi was mad that he didn't tell her but she complied and scanned the building. She looked at Naruto. There are a total of 30 guards in the tower. There are 20 Cloud, 6 Rain, and 4 Rock Nins. The ninja outpost has 3 floors and the scroll is heavily guarded. Let's go. I will brief you more when I inform the others. Both shinobi blurred out of existence. Konohamaru had convinced a young Rock Nin to come back with him to his room. He had promised the Rock Nin a good time. When he and the Rock Nin entered the room, the Rock Nin was quickly disabled by Sasuke. The Rock Nin looked at Sasuke then back at Konohamaru. What the hell is going on? The Rock Nin asked. Konohamaru dropped the henge and changed back to himself. The Nin was shocked at what he saw. He turned to Sasuke to see that he had activated the Sharingan. This caused the Nin more fear. Yo, you're Uchiha Sasuke, aren't you? The name asked in fear. Yes, and depending on how you answer you might live. Now I want information about the ninja outpost 20 miles from here. If you don't comply on your free will, then I will gain the info with my Sharingan. If it comes to that, I will torture you so bad that you will be begging for me to kill you. So are you going to make this easy or are you going to make this hard? Sasuke said to the Chunin with a smile, hoping that he would choose the later. The ninja from Rock trembled under Sasuke's eyes. I will tell you everything that I know, just don't kill me. Sakura, Udon, and Hinata entered the room to see that Konohamaru's mission was a success. They walked up behind Sasuke, who had the Nin on the floor against the wall. A few seconds later Hanabi and Naruto entered into the room. The Rock Nin caught a glimpse of Naruto and his eye widened. He kept backing up but was blocked by the wall behind him. Naruto looked at the Nin and saw the fear in his eyes. Please don't kill me, I will tell you anything, just don't kill me. The Nin pleaded. Sasuke looked at Naruto then back at the Nin and smiled. It seems you will be useful. You better tell us what we want to know or I'll sick my friend on you. I will tell you everything. Just don't let that monster hurt me. The Rock Nin pleaded with Sasuke. Sakura glanced at Naruto. What did you do that has this man scared to death, Naruto? I wonder why I wasn't informed of what he did. I guess I will have to question Tsunade-sama about this. Hinata and the rest of the gang were thinking along the same lines as Sakura. Naruto was now pissed at being called a monster nin and picked him up with one hand. His eyes narrowed, causing to get even more scared. What right do you have to call me a monster? I did what I did for a reason and I will not hesitate to do it again if the situation arises. The nin eyes paled at Naruto's comment. You would do it again? Only a monster would feel no remorse for their actions? That may be true, but like I said, I won't hesitate if the situation arises again. Naruto dropped the nin to ground. Sasuke walked back up to the nin to gather answers. Give us info on the base. Sasuke demanded. Okay. There are 3 floors. There are at least 30 nins in the base, varying from cloud, to rock, and to rain nins. The top floor is heavily guarded. There is a scroll, but only the cloud nins know what's in the scroll. That is all I know. Please don't kill me. They expect me back at the base in another hour, and if I don't turn up they'll get suspicious. The nin pleaded with Sasuke not to do anything rash. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and the man passed out. What did you do to him? Sakura asked. He will forget what happened here and he will head back to work when he wakes up. We will set up in the other room and go over our strategy there. Hanabi and Naruto will inform us on their findings while you Hinata and Udon will inform us of this town's layout, Sasuke stated. Sasuke placed the guy on the bed and had Sakura take off his clothes to make it look like he and the Konohamaru's henge form had an exciting time together. After Sakura undressed him, she and the others went to the other room that they had rented. 6:30 p.m. at near the ninja outpost, the team was near the outpost and ready to make their move. Hanabi and Hinata had their Byakugan activated. Sasuke's Sharingan was activated as well. Sasuke was in the front of the group. He signaled for everyone to slow down. After a few minutes had passed, everyone got close to the outpost undetected. Sasuke decided it was time to hand out the wireless communication mics. From here on out we're splitting up. Hinata, Sakura and Udon are with Naruto. Hanabi and Konohamaru, you're with me. Naruto, your team will take the west wing while my team will take the east. Since we know what to expect, we should be out of here soon. My team will go after the scroll, while your team will take out the guards on the first and second floor. We won't move until you confirm that your task is complete. We'll wait here for you to give the signal. Naruto nodded and his team headed out. They entered the outpost with no problem. Naruto used a bind jutsu on the 6 guards that was on that floor. He then ordered Hinata to disable them with her Juken. After Hinata did as he said, Naruto made shadow clones that replicated the ninjas while he and the others placed the guards' dead bodies in a storage closet nearby. They moved on to the next floor and ran into 9 guards. The same process was done to the guards on this floor that was done to the guards on the first level. Naruto wondered why this was so easy. He didn't complain, he just made sure that he was on guard. Level 1 and 2 cleared. Naruto said, speaking into the wireless mic. Sasuke and the rest of his team had entered on the east wing. There were 13 more guards that had to be taken care of. Sasuke and Naruto both were thinking the same thing when they used the binding jutsu on the nins. What they didn't expect was 3 nins to be powerful to break free of it. The 3 nins were now looking at the Konoha ninjas that outnumbered them. Well, if it isn't Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, the Golden Fox, himself. No wonder why my guards can't move. What are the chances of running into 2 of the most feared nins out here? The Cloud Shinobi spoke. You do know that you will die here. You have no chance of winning, so move aside so we can get the scroll and be on our way, Sasuke said flatly. The Cloud Nin narrowed his eyes at Sasuke. Don't underestimate us. It will be your downfall. Sasuke smirked at the nin. Oh, Hanabi. Disable the nins caught in the binding jutsu. Hanabi disabled the nin caught in the binding jutsu. The Rock Junin and the Rain Junin were glaring at Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, today you will die for what you did, the Rock Nin said. I also have a score to settle with you as well, Uzumaki, the Rain Nin said. Both Junins charged at Naruto, who didn't even prepare a defense. Currently in Konoha, the council had called a meeting concerning Naruto. Homura was the first to speak up. Tsunade, we want to discuss Naruto. We wish to give him missions suited to his capabilities. Tsunade glared at the old man. You want to give him suicide missions, is what you're trying to say. Kaharu looked at the Hokage. I don't think the missions that we plan for him to take will be suicide. Judging by what he did in Rain and Earth Country, these missions shouldn't be too difficult. Hiyashi spoke. Tsunade-sama, Naruto is more than capable of handling missions that are in enemy territory. We feel he is the best candidate to do so. If you don't wish for him to be alone, then I will let you assign my eldest child to help him. She may be weak, but she is a Hyuga, and that is more than adequate. Tsunade gave Hiyashi a look of disgust. I will not permit Naruto to take suicide missions. I would not do that to him or any of our ninjas. You are willing to endanger the life of a leaf shinobi, who happens to be your daughter, by having her assigned to dangerous missions. She is a shinobi of the leaf. She knows the risk of being one, Hiyashi answered. What about the Byakugan? Hinata is heir to the main house, but if that falls in enemy hands, it could be disastrous for the leaf. Tsunade questioned Hiyashi. Don't worry about it. Hinata will become a branch member upon her return. The Byakugan will be safe even if she dies, Hiyashi informed the blonde. Do you think that sending my student into enemy territory is going to kill him off? You idiots are sadly mistaken. A voice was heard in the corner of the council room. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? This is a private meeting, Tsunade informed her former teammate. Jiraiya came out of the shadows. A council who would exile the son of the village's greatest hero is dirt, but he turned to face the Hyuga. A man that is willing to send his daughter off to her death because she is deemed weak doesn't deserve to call himself a man. You disgust me, Hyuga. Hiyashi's eyes narrowed at Jiraiya. If she is strong, then she won't die. The caged seal is being placed on her as a precaution. Besides, the boy is too powerful, and it is only a matter of time before the fox takes control. He should have died years ago. Jiraiya went to punch Hiyashi, but Tsunade appeared in front of him before he could connect. Jiraiya, he is entitled to his opinion. Besides, it's not worth it, Jiraiya. The frog hermit calmed down. Tasuki spoke up. Hiyashi is right, Jiraiya. The kid is becoming too strong. The fox has to attribute for his leaps in power. It's the only explanation why he beat the Uchiha. Jiraiya looked at the lady. Do you really believe that the fox power helped Naruto become stronger than Sasuke? If you believe that, then you're sadly mistaken. Naruto doesn't use the fox power. He only uses his chakra. Tsunade was present at the fight. She could confirm, along with a large number of the Anbu, and most of your children, that Naruto beat Sasuke using his own chakra. Jiraiya is right. The boy bested Sasuke on his own without the aid of the Kyuubi. Tsunade told the rest of the council. Jin Wei spoke. Then how did the boy get strong in a short amount of time? He has been training under Saichi Kato, Minashu Ryuho, and Jiraiya. Under these three his skills would have increased greatly, but the reason why he has increased to Sannin levels is because of the gravity seals placed on him by Hoeido Naya. There was a collective gasp among the council. Hoeido Tasuki was the first to speak. You mean to tell me that Fuza no Okami gave him gravity seals? Yes, so you see, it doesn't matter, Naruto will continue to get stronger. Tsunade, let Naruto take those missed faces of the council when he exceeds your expectations. My student will succeed in everything you throw at him, Jiraiya said confidently. I will leave that decision to Naruto, Tsunade stated. Regardless of what you say, Jiraiya, the boy is a monster. Explain what he did in Rain and Earth Country then. Back at the ninja outpost, Sasuke had defeated the Cloud Junin rather easily. It was the same for Naruto. He had easily dispatched the Rock Junin and the Rain Junin. They both were on the ground struggling to get up. I will not let you leave here alive, the Rock Nin said in between breaths. Neither will I, you had no right, the Junin from the Rain said before charging at Naruto. Naruto dodged the punch that was aimed for his head and countered with a punch to the shinobi's gut. The punch caused him to fall at Naruto's feet. Naruto looked down at the shinobi from the Rain. You say I had no right to do what I did. But what gave your nins the right to do what they did? We have a different viewpoint on what's right and what's wrong, so in your eyes and in the eyes of many what I did was wrong. I don't care what you think, I did what I did and it cannot be changed. Accept it and deal with it. Back in Konoha, right and wrong is in the eye of the beholder. You all may believe what he did was wrong, but if you don't know his reason, then you shouldn't judge, Jiraiya stated in his student's defense. Inuzuka Sume looked at Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama, what his reason for slaughtering a platoon that consisted of 120 Rain Nin in their own country? Back at the outpost, the group, with the exception of Sasuke, was startled to find out that Naruto had murdered 120 Rain Nins. They couldn't believe what the Rain Nin said. This was Naruto that he was talking about. Naruto had his eyes focused on the man at his feet. I have my reasons. What was your shinobi reasons for doing what they did? The Rock Nin saw that Naruto was to focus on the Rain Nin. Now was his chance. When he went to attack, Naruto looked up to see him coming at him. The Nin never made contact. Sasuke sent the Nin into a wall with kick to the jaw. The Rock Nin struggled to get to his feet. How can you defend a murder? Not only did he kill 120 Rain Shinobi, he. Back in Konoha, Tsume spoke again. He also killed 150 Rock Nins Jiraiya-sama. He did this a couple days after he slaughtered the Rain Nins. What is the justification for that? Outpost, Naruto answered, it was necessary. The Nin narrowed his eyes at the ninja, who answered with no emotion in his voice. Sasuke looked at the ninja he had kicked. What does it matter? Your comrades are dead and there is nothing you can do to bring them back. Instead of worrying about your fallen comrades, you should focus on getting out of here alive, which at the moment is not likely to happen. Udon and Hanabi, get the scroll, we only have 20 minutes to get out of here. The two nins followed Sasuke's command and came back out of the room with the scroll. Hanabi used the Byakugan to make sure that the scroll had blueprints to the ninja base deeper in Lightning Country. Seeing that it was, she handed it to Sasuke, who put it in his pouch. The Rain Nin spoke, my brother was among the ninja that died that day. This guy has taken away someone very precious to me, and for that he will die. Sakura and Hinata had tears in their eyes hearing what Naruto did. They couldn't believe the innocent boy had slaughtered close to 300 shinobi in a matter of a week. Sakura looked at Naruto and spoke through the sobs. Whatever happened to your ninja way, Naruto? It isn't like you to slaughter a bunch of people because you felt it was necessary. That isn't something Naruto would do. That is something a monster would do. Konoha, Waga Kataki spoke for the first time. Any way you slice it, Jiraiya, your pupil is a monster. To do that, because it was necessary, is not justifiable. Jiraiya and Naruto both looked up and said in unison. Naruto. Anyone in my shoes would have done the same. Jiraiya. Anyone in his shoes would have done the same. Hinata looked at Naruto. Naruto-kun, maybe if you explained why you did what you did, then Sakura-san wouldn't be so judgmental. By not giving reasons, it makes you look cold-hearted. Naruto looked at Hinata. The only ones who are cold-hearted are the ones who willingly use a little girl for leverage. Konoha, so you're saying that he slaughtered all of those nins because of a little girl? Tsunade questioned. She knew what Naruto did but never knew the real reason. Unlike the others, she knew that Naruto wouldn't do this unless his reason was just. Jiraiya shook his head. Not just any little girl, he did it to protect. Outpost. My sister. Not my blood sister, but she is someone that I consider a sister. Naruto turned to Sakura and glared, if you must know, Haruno, I will never break my ninja way. I made a promise to that little girl that I would be there for her always. If I had let her die, then I would not have kept my promise. Don't make accusations when you don't know all of the facts. If it was Leaf Nins that committed the act, then it would be over 300 Leaf Nins dead. To protect her life, I would kill anyone who harms hers. Think what you will of me. It really doesn't matter either way. Naruto stepped over the Rain Nin and walked past Sakura. He stopped, then turned to speak to the Rock and Rain Nins. We're no different, you and I. You willingly attacked me because you lost someone precious to you, and I did what I did to protect my little sister. Our compassion for those we hold in our hearts will drive us to do what we feel is necessary to protect them or their name. I will not kill you here. You will go back to your respective villages and tell your cages that the next time they try to use anyone that I hold dear as leverage for an advantage at war, then you will really see a monster. Naruto walked away from the group. Sasuke motioned for Hanabi to knock the guards out, then everyone followed him out of the outpost. It was 8 o'clock and the sun was setting. The team was now heading back to Konoha. Sasuke gave Naruto the order to lead them to the docks in Lightning Country. Naruto had informed Sasuke while traveling that they would be in Rice Country by 11 that night. The only thing was that they had to reach the docks by 9 p.m. The squad headed through the wood to the docks. In Konoha, that is all you need to know. Naruto will tell you if he wants to. It isn't my place. I'm leaving. Oh, and Hyuga. Hiyashi looked at Jiraiya. What? Naruto won't die, and he won't let your daughter die if she's his teammate. Even if you place the seal on her, she is still going to live through any missions assigned to her if Naruto has anything to say about it. Hiyashi spoke. I don't care what happens to Hinata. A defect isn't welcomed in the Hyuga. Jiraiya shook his head and disappeared. Tsunade looked at the group of members. Naruto will get missions based on his approval. Also, I will assign Hinata as permanent member of his team. She looked at the Hyuga head. I'm not doing this because you seek to weed out what you deem as weak in the eyes of the Hyuga. I'm doing this for Hinata. Even if I was to take the choice out of Naruto's hands, he wouldn't mind me giving him S-class missions. Also, Hinata will become stronger by being with Naruto. The only thing holding her back is confidence. You all think that I have submitted to your decisions, but I have not. When it is all said and done, you will see why I have made the decision that I have made. This meeting is adjourned. All of you, get out of my sight. Tsunade had left the meeting and headed to her office. When she got there, Jiraiya was sitting on the couch. She walked up to her desk and rubbed her temples. Want some sake? He walked up and sat in the chair next to her. I thought you would never ask. The docks. 45 minutes later, Naruto and the gang had yet to speak to each other. They arrived at the docks. Naruto had went to talk to the owner of the docks, who happened to be a friend of his, Kobun. The short, balding, old man, looked and smiled at Naruto. It's been a long time, my boy, how's it been? Rumor has it that the Golden Fox has sided with the Leaf. That wouldn't be true now, would it? Yes, old man, it is indeed true. More importantly, can you get us on the boat heading to Rice Country tonight? The old man looked at Naruto. No, not without payment, of course. Naruto sighed. He knew he was going to have to pay the old man. Naruto reached inside his jacket. Here, this is Icha Paradise. Make Out Tactics Volume 8. This book has been personally signed by Jiraiya himself. If you can get us on the boat. The old man went to grab the book, but Naruto raised his hand to avoid the man's hand from grabbing the book. This book is yours. The old man's eyes illustrated his happiness. Consider it a deal. Just give me that book and head to Port 14. Tell Koukai that I said to let you on and consider this his way of paying me back. I wish you good luck, Naruto, but I have to go to to my office to straighten out a few things. Sweat formed on the back of everyone's head. Sakura looked at the old man walk away, and thought, are all men perverted bastards? Inner Sakura chimed in, if I see Kakashi-sensei with that book when I get back, I'm going to kick his ass, Shanaru. Naruto motioned everyone to follow him to the port. Naruto informed the captain of what the old man said. The captain led him on the boat without hesitation. Naruto and the others were sitting in the cargo area of the ship, when Hinata was the first to speak. Naruto-kun, I would like to know more about your sister, if you wish to tell us, that is. Hinata said in a low voice. Naruto looked at Hinata and smiled. Her name is Minashu Hayami and she is 8 years old. Hokage's office, the girl that was kidnapped was Ryo's daughter. The Hokage asked Jiraiya. Yes, it seems that the rain and the rock combined forces to get the girl. I think their plan was to use the girl so Ryuho could train their soldiers in the heavenly sword style. Jiraiya answered. Tsunade leaned back in her chair. So they had planned on using the girl so her father would train their soldiers. They had planned to attack us all this time. If Naruto didn't step in, I think Ryuho would have trained them. Family means more to him than his style. Even if it was unintentional, Naruto did this village another service. Back on the ship, you trained under a samurai, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Yes, I did. It's part of the reason that I'm good with a sword. Naruto answered proudly. Sasuke was quite the whole time trying to figure out why Naruto would go so far for a little girl. He didn't understand it, he couldn't comprehend why. Sasuke looked up at the blue-eyed ninja and simply said, why? Naruto looked at Sasuke. He studied Sasuke to find what Sasuke meant by that question. Naruto understood what Sasuke was asking. Why did I kill all of those men, for one little girl? I thought I told you at the outpost. She is someone that I hold dear in my heart. If she or anyone that I cared about was in danger, I would do all that I can to protect them. You're still not telling us the other reason, Naruto. What is it? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked at the sky and smiled. She's the reason why I'm not a monster. She is the reason I'm not a cold-blooded killer, but most of all, she is the reason why I decided not to destroy the leaf. She was my savior. She saved me from my personal hell. The group took it all in. Everyone, with the exception of Sakura, Hinata, and Sasuke couldn't believe that he had wanted to destroy the Leaf Village. Naruto took his gaze off of the ceiling and looked at the group. To understand the reason for my actions, I should start from the day I left the village to the time I destroyed those nins. You guys might want to get comfortable, it's a very long story. Everyone inched closer to Naruto preparing to hear his story. They all looked at him with anticipation in their eyes. Naruto looked at the group and said, "It all started on the day that I was exiled from the village, the end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part."